Still, a total killer at the end of the day. Notifications from the system popped up in my field of view, right through the middle of battles, which I totally ignored. Militia Job Experience, 121 from Scarface. Militia Job Experience, 129 from Blackbeard. Basic Swordsmanship Experience 3. For 121. 129, my militia class jumped to LV33. 28 out of 500. Over halfway to the next tier from just 2 fights. That gives you way more XP than weeks of grinding. Real, high-stakes, life-or-death combat, where the enemy's actively trying to drop you, and you're fighting back to take them down. That is literally the ultimate experience multiplier. Nothing else even comes close to that rush. A quick glance over reveals Anna curled up tightly in the sheets, slumbering away like someone who has never known safety for a single day of her existence. And despite having an actual girl crashing in my room, the vibe in here is giving total funeral home energy. During a major blackout, if we're talking about attractive women for a second, my brain instantly pulls up the image of Lady Clea, with her super athletic build and those long, springy legs rocking that hunting outfit, hugging every single curve. Rain. People literally died tonight. Read the room. Oh, and regarding Scarface back there, it suddenly clicks that he's the exact guy plastered on the wanted posters. Worth 5 Imperial gold coins, with Blackbeard acting as his boss. Which probably means he's worth an even bigger payout. I might actually be rich soon. Sunrise brings me walking downstairs for breakfast alongside Anna, while my parents' faces flash through roughly 17 different emotions. In 3 seconds flat, Dad's brows go confused, then suspicious, then amused, while Mom's expression shifts to sheer surprise. A knowing smile and absolute delight. Mint pipes up. Why is big sister Anna here right now? Father, some shady strangers were lurking around Anna's place last night, and with all these child kidnappings going around, I brought her over here to keep her safe. She'll be staying with us for a little while. Half true, and close enough to the facts. Dad looks at the blushing girl, then looks at me with a wide grin, saying sure. Sure, lucky boy. Rain, you had better treat Anna right. Mom chimes in wearing the most loaded smile in human history. Anna's face turns so crimson. It looks like she's about to spontaneously combust. Her forehead is practically pressed against the tabletop. Mother, we are totally not a thing like what you're imagining. Oh, really? Then why on earth did she sleep in your bedroom last night? Because she was terrified. Dad cuts in with a completely serious expression. Rain, a real man has to take responsibility. Anna is a sweet girl, so don't you dare mistreat her. Great, just wonderful. My parents genuinely think I brought home a girlfriend. They're convinced their 13-year-old son is in a relationship with a neighbor's kid, just because she crashed in his room for one night after I took out 2 bad guys inside her house. The actual reality. I slaughtered 2 wanted felons using a hammer and a sword, before carrying the traumatized victim next door. The core narrative. My folks are totally convinced I'm growing up fast, thinking about weddings and grandkids already. Romance, church bells, and babies are all on their minds. Clearing up this awkward misunderstanding right now is completely off the table, unless I feel like dropping the details of a double homicide. So instead, I just sit there chilling with my breakfast, absorbing all their parental teasing like a total pro. Once breakfast is over, I bounce over to the town administrative hall to cash in my bounty. A guard announces me. A servant guides me through, and finally I step right into Sheriff Hamilton's office. It's a spotless, brightly lit space, measuring about 50 square meters, featuring deerskin chairs, bookshelves lining every wall, and a massive redwood desk, totally buried beneath an endless mountain of parchment scrolls. Hamilton sits behind the desk, deeply engrossed in a stack of case files. Lifting his gaze, he gets straight down to business. Take a seat, Rain. I'm right in the middle of reviewing a case file, so give me a second. I pull up a chair and scope out the room while he reads. That towering stack of scrolls on his desk looks insanely huge, with every single one appearing to be a completely unresolved cold case. Without warning, Hamilton sets his scroll aside, gazes right at me, and drops a totally unexpected line. Rain, you're leveling up way faster than I ever saw coming. How about joining my night watch squad? He gestures vaguely toward that towering mountain of paperwork, adding, look at all these. Every single one is an unfinished case, abandoned by my totally incompetent predecessor, Kuzma, that absolute clown. Security all across Meister County is plummeting, and I am ridiculously understaffed right now. Right after that, he starts rattling off problems, like a guy completely drowning in work. 2 days ago, 3 miners vanished inside the Ala mine, located just southwest of town, and something totally unidentified is squatting in those tunnels. All my search party managed to dig up yesterday was just blood. On top of that, my guards spotted wretched fin fishmen prowling upstream near Shimmer Lake, which happens to be our water supply. Those disgusting monsters ruin and contaminate anything they touch, yet I don't even have enough men to chase them off. Fin fishmen ruining the public drinking water, vicious monsters lurking in the mines, and terrifying threats everywhere. This town isn't just dealing with run-of-the-mill human criminals. Actual bloodthirsty monsters are causing pure chaos. Meanwhile, the sheriff doesn't even possess enough soldiers to keep things under control, and he expects me, a 13-year-old kid, who literally committed his first homicide 12 hours ago, to enlist in his night watch? I mean, taking a night watch gig would probably trigger a cool new job panel for me. Making the offer somewhat tempting, but more importantly, did someone seriously mention bounty money? Sheriff Hamilton. Let's talk about that reward for last night's criminals. He flashes me that exact same cryptic half-smile he gave me yesterday, replying, "You want your bounty? Come track me down at the administrative hall tomorrow." Why does that sly grin instantly make me feel like collecting my hard-earned cash is going to come with strings attached that are heavier than massive anchor chains? After pondering the situation for roughly half a second, I mentally check out and decide Hamilton's night watch offer is a hard pass. Right now. Why would I walk away from my sweet setup at Habsburg Manor, where the Count's daughter is personally feeding me top-tier bear meat and teaching me ancient breathing techniques, swapping Clea's private sword, tutoring for night patrol duty? Would feel like ditching a Michelin-starred spot to flip burgers at a gas station. Hamilton reads my instant thanks, but no thanks vibe right away. Instead of getting tilted, though, he pulls a gray pouch from his desk drawer and tosses it my way, saying here, "Bounty payment, 5 gold for Scarface, 10 for Blackbeard, making 15 Imperial gold coins." Totaling 15 gold coins as I snatch that bag out of the air so fast. It honestly breaks the sound barrier. My fingers instantly lock around it, like a dragon clutching its very first-born treasure egg. He didn't even attempt to withhold it. I turned down his job offer, yet he still paid me in full. No guilt trips, no. Well, actually, zero bureaucratic runaround. My respect for Hamilton just spiked by a solid 300%. This man actually has integrity. Though my happiness lasts precisely 4 seconds, Rain. I should warn you, Scarface was a nobody, but Blackbeard has an older brother ruling the hyena gang over in Meister County. He's insanely powerful, sliding a case file toward me. As I start reading through every single line, my face turns dead serious. The hyena gang boasts hundreds of members, running every criminal racket like theft, extortion, protection schemes, and kidnapping women and children. Basically the standard supervillain resume. The real headache, though, is the boss himself, a dude nicknamed Dog King Cole, who somehow managed to tame a mutant hyena queen, growing the size of a wild boar. He bred a whole litter of combat hyenas and handed them out to his top lieutenants, backed by these beasts, which are way stronger than normal dogs. The gang rapidly grew into the dominant criminal syndicate across the entire county. To top it off, they've apparently got ties to some high-rolling noblemen in the capital. I literally just wasted the crime boss's little brother, the same crime boss commanding a mutant hyena army. Oh man, oh no. I'm not even stressed for myself. I can run, I can easily hide. I've got the manner to retreat too. But my family, dad dealing with his bad back, mom working part-time at the inn, and 7-year-old Mint, they can't fight off a hyena gang. Glancing up at Hamilton, I notice him watching me calmly, waiting for me to connect the dots. And honestly, I do connect them, seeing why he dropped this file. He wants me to realize that I genuinely need his protection. He isn't threatening me. He's just showing me raw reality and letting me arrive at the obvious conclusion, completely on my own, which is low-key, super smart, and frustratingly effective. Sheriff Hamilton, since you brought this up, I'm guessing you have a solution ready. A quick flash of respect suddenly lights up his gaze. Total freakout was what he honestly anticipated from me. Instead, there I am sitting and cutting a hard deal like a pro. His mouth opens to reply, but then completely freezes. Narrowing his eyes sharply, he leans in close toward me, studying every move, with a laser focus that sends a shiver down my spine. Rain. You've been working on a night breathing routine, haven't you? My stomach plummets straight to the floor. How on earth? Is it that obvious? Can you read it right off my forehead? As it turns out, my gaze is sharp and locked in, while my respiration remains steady and deeply grounded, which are apparently the dead giveaways for anyone who has recently picked up breathing drills. Having served as a knight long enough, he spots those exact symptoms in a heartbeat. Keeping my face totally blank, I offer zero response. Poker face locked and tight, and Hamilton doesn't press further. Instead, he starts piecing things together out loud like some medieval detective. You've been hanging around Habsburg Manor for your training, so someone over there must have tutored you. It has to be either Knight Lloyd the butler or Perez the master swordsman. His deduction game is completely spot on. Every single piece of his logic is brilliantly nailed down, except he completely misses the mark on the identity at the end. Clea never even crosses his mind because why would a count's daughter ever tutor a low-level peasant recruit directly? That scenario sounds way too wild to guess. My lips are sealed, Sheriff. My oath is to protect that secret no matter what, huh? Good kid staying loyal. Brushing it off completely, he shows zero offense. Then he drops a massive bombshell of his own. You need to realize that the Habsburg household is tearing itself apart from within. Power struggles are tearing the Count's two sons apart. Meanwhile, the youngest daughter, despite being a certified prodigy in swordsmanship, achieved full knight status 2 full years ago, and holds a special place in the old Count's heart. Civil war brews as the two brothers fight over the crown, leaving Clea, the brilliant youngest daughter, stuck right in the crossfire. That exact reason is why she ordered me to keep her training under wraps, since if either brother's faction caught wind of the fact that she was secretly tutoring a commoner as her personal protege, they would instantly view it as Clea expanding her personal influence, and might target me just to undermine her position. My blood runs ice cold, realizing I am no longer just a simple trainee. Instead, I'm a pawn caught in a high-stakes noble power play. Pressing on, Hamilton reveals that the eldest son, Alonso, maintains deep ties to the Wilderness Brotherhood. Yes, the Wilderness Brotherhood, the exact shady syndicate responsible for buying abducted children and operating as the very ring Scarface and Blackbeard answer to, meaning the Count's own flesh and blood is tangled up with dangerous child traffickers. This crazy family drama just escalated from cheap reality TV straight into a massive criminal conspiracy reign. You got real talent, so step up and join the Night Watch. Serving the Empire is honestly your smartest play here. Rising to his feet, Hamilton locks his gaze directly onto mine, before dropping his ultimate trump card. By stepping into the Night Watch, I gain the leverage to assign guards straight to your block, keeping your loved ones safe from those hyena thugs. The Night Watch is going to be your ultimate low-key shield. Forget my personal career or my promotion path. My folks' protection. He knows right where to strike to hit me hard. My resolve is totally crumbling as doubts flood my mind. Hamilton decides to sweeten the deal even more. Mastering a breathing technique costs a fortune. Rain, you're well aware of this. Yet your pair of bounty drops raked in over 10 gold coins, which clears the baseline requirement to apply for an official Imperial bounty hunter license. A bounty hunter license hold up. Can't literally anyone hunt down a fugitive and grab the cash reward. Hamilton breaks into a grin. There's definitely a whole lot more to this gig than I assumed, and my mind is completely racing. Hamilton isn't just handing me a basic gig. He's setting up a whole network tailored around me. Guaranteed safety for my family, the legal backing to hunt down outlaws, and a steady cash flow to fund my training regimen. While all he asks in exchange is my full cooperation. This guy isn't just a sheriff, he's a recruiting legend. And those 15 gold coins resting in my pocket suddenly feel like the absolute best yet wildest plot twist I've ever experienced. My apologies, Sheriff Hamilton. Bounty hunting actually requires a permit. Hamilton lets out a chuckle and drops a major truth bomb that entirely shatters my perspective on how this world society operates. Being a noble means 0 permits are needed. Just take out whoever is listed on the bounty board. Collect your gold, and you are done. Yet for a regular commoner trying to turn bounty hunting into a steady paycheck, this license flips everything upside down. First off, it grants you the right to pack heat openly day and night. Without it, the imperial decree states that commoners are restricted to keeping arms indoors. Getting caught patrolling the streets with a blade is a serious offense. Wait a minute. I've been wandering all over town armed to the teeth on multiple occasions now. Have I been breaking the law this entire time? And nobody bothered to warn me second. Once your accumulated lifetime bounty profits surpass 100 gold pieces, you become eligible for a mid-tier bounty hunter certification, which unlocks the privilege of riding horses. Carrying weapons alongside horse riding rights are exclusive noble perks. Ordinary commoners are barred from doing either. Yet certified bounty hunters get access to both. This realm genuinely operates under a single core rule. Power equals status if you can wipe out wanted criminals. Society automatically elevates your social rank. And I happen to have a spare recommendation slot right here. Hamilton adds casually while my brain is doing mental gymnastics. Licensed weapon carrying rights and future horse riding privileges, plus legal revenue to fund my training sessions. This sounds insane, yet I find myself holding back, because I already gave Clea my word to become her follower if I sign up with the Night Watch too. Wouldn't that be a total betrayal? Serving two separate masters at once, Sheriff Hamilton. I'm low-key grateful, but I already made a promise to someone else that I'd sign up as their follower down the road. So Hamilton drops a loud, booming, and authentic laugh. That's seriously what you're stressing over, Rain? There's literally zero conflict since every noble's followers ultimately end up serving the Dragonar Empire anyway. And having an official government gig on top of that actually makes you way more valuable to your lord, not less. He gestures right at himself as total proof, flashing a confident grin. I'm the town sheriff and a dedicated follower of Marquis Caden. My government role is a total flex in the Marquis's eyes. Not a problem at all. My jaw hits the floor. You can totally do both. Having a noble patron and a government job is completely doable. I was stuck thinking through the lens of my old world's feudal system, where my vassal's vassal is supposedly not my vassal. But hey, this Dragonar Empire is way more centralized than medieval Europe ever was, with the emperor acting as the ultimate boss, meaning everything feeds upward in the end. Hamilton drops another piece of solid advice that instantly makes my ears perk up. Have you gone through the formal oath of allegiance ceremony with your patron yet? Nah, not yet. Clea mentioned I need to level up to a full knight first, then aim higher. Try swearing your oath as a guardian knight instead of just a basic follower, the main difference being you can roll as a guardian knight for multiple people, while you can only ever be a follower to just one. Just think about what that means for your freedom, kid. Guardian knight versus regular follower. Multiple employers versus exclusive loyalty. More flexibility versus total commitment. This chat alone is worth way more than the 15 gold pieces hidden in my pocket, since every single sentence Hamilton drops shatters another wall of my total ignorance that I didn't even realize was there. This is what class barriers really look like, folks. It isn't just about money and raw power. It's all about information. The massive knowledge gap between commoners and nobles is staggering. Thank you so much for breaking all this down, Sheriff Hamilton. Sheriff Hamilton, I'm officially accepting your offer to join the Night Watch. However, I'm still right in the middle of my training program up at the manor. Is it cool if I officially start after it wraps up? For sure, the Habsburg training program is top tier anyway. You'll even get solid archery training over there, which you definitely need. Hamilton clearly knows their entire training curriculum. Inside and out, archery, huh? That's literally one of the knight squire prerequisites that I've been missing, meaning this training program will literally hand me the exact skill I've been lacking. But if I end up needing you for an emergency before then, you better show up right away. Absolutely. Sir Hamilton, we're parting ways on great terms. Stepping out of the administrative hall, with 15 gold coins tucked safely inside my clothes, making me feel like the absolute richest 13-year-old in the entire county. Yet that sketchy hyena gang situation keeps nagging at the back of my mind. Considering Blackbeard's big boss man, King Cole, commands hundreds of hardcore criminals, alongside a terrifying pack of mutant battle hyenas. And I just went and iced his baby brother. I seriously need to level up. I need way more power. There's always more, but first things first. For the very first time in this entire life, I am actually packing some cash. I'm finally out of the broke zone, and it's time to put this paper to work. My flawless cover story is already locked and loaded. A crucial tip regarding those missing kids was dropped right into Sheriff Hamilton's lap, and he hooked me up with 2 shiny gold coins as a reward. On top of that, a night watch gig was thrown my way to start as soon as my training wraps up. Those 2 coins are more than enough to level up my family's everyday living standard without making anybody suspicious. The remaining 13 stay tucked away safely to cover training costs. Plus, this night watch news means my folks can finally chill out about my future career path. Stress levels are plummeting. Everyone is vibing, and I can completely focus on getting OP. Right now, though, it isn't even 9 a.m. yet, leaving me with the whole day wide open. Where should I head? The blacksmith shop, obviously. Only this time, I'm rolling in as a paying customer instead of free labor. Since I'm carrying actual funds now, I can finally shell out the cash to that greedy miser Boris. So he actually teaches me some legit forging techniques, instead of just forcing me to pump bellows until my arms feel like they're dropping off. Yeah, the tuition fee is wild, but mastering forgery will grant a massive XP boost to my blacksmith apprentice class, making every single copper worth it. I practically sprint toward the blacksmith shop, already doing a mental cost-benefit analysis of the whole deal. Bursting right through the front door, a familiar wall of scorching forge heat slams directly into my face, and I spot Boris standing by his anvil, hammering away at some horseshoes. He's actively crafting horseshoes, and my eyes instantly light up, like someone just plugged my brain straight into the power grid. Horseshoe forging paired with my current hoof trimming skill, that is the ultimate meta combo. Trimming hooves and nailing on shoes was already in my toolkit. Now I'm about to learn how to manufacture the hardware myself. That completes the entire horseshoe workflow from scratch, taking raw iron all the way to a finished product. Since forging horseshoes connects directly to actual blacksmithing, way more than just pumping bellows, the experience gains should be absolutely insane. Giving the bag of gold coins in my pocket a confident pat, I flash a grin. It's time to present Mr. Cheapskate with an offer he cannot possibly turn down. I watch Boris work his magic, baking an iron bar inside the roaring forge until the center burns a blinding white hot, then yanking it out to brush away impurities before plunging it into water for a quick quench. Repeated hammering and reheating cycles shape the metal bar until it bends smoothly into a crescent moon curve, bringing a brand new horseshoe to life right before my eyes. Drellis catches sight of me and waves back with high energy. Rain, are you back to work the bellows again? Sorry, Drellis. Not today. His expression drops instantly like a sad puppy, watching its human leave for the day, marching straight up to Boris. I point directly at the fresh horseshoe he's hammering. Mr. Boris, I want to learn how to make that. How much? Boris glares at me as if I just announced my intention to purchase the moon. You got cash? You still aren't my official apprentice. Picking up horseshoe forging as a special student ain't cheap. And just because you volunteered around here before that doesn't mean price breaks are coming your way. Typical Boris would literally bill his own mother for a simple cup of H2O naturally. Mr. Boris, what's the damage here? For a single month of horseshoe shaping lessons, 12 silver pieces, and if you fail to grasp it within 30 days. Tough luck, pal, absolutely no refunds. Surrounding the counter, the rest of the apprentices exchange knowing glances, screaming this kid is about to get totally humiliated. There is zero chance some random farm boy is sitting on 12 silver coins. And let's be real, 12 silver is an absurd amount of cash. Your average everyday labor living in Shining Gold Town pulls in only 2 to 3 silver monthly, meaning Boris is demanding 4 months of wages up front, just for 30 days of instruction, offering zero promises on results and zero money-back guarantee. This guy isn't even running an actual blacksmith shop. He's basically operating a scam right next to the anvil. To give you some context, the Dragonar Empire monetary setup functions identically to vintage British currency. 1 gold piece evaluates to 12 silver coins total. 1 single silver breaks down into 20 shillings, while 1 shilling is worth 12 pennies. A single penny easily scores you a 1-pound loaf of rye bread. So 12 silver coins basically equals 1 heavy gold piece. Meanwhile, I got 15 gold coins literally burning a hole in my pocket. Instantly, I slap on my finest "this physical pain is killing me" expression, which isn't entirely an act either. Seeing hard-earned cash leave my hands genuinely hurts my soul. Before pulling out a solitary gold coin, wide-eyed and stunned Boris stares down at a genuine gold piece from a farm kid. Mr. Boris, I quickly spin him a convincing cover story. My folks managed to save this up, specifically designated for my blacksmith schooling. Throughout the Manor Program initiative, they're dead set on me picking up as many practical skills as possible. Hook, line, and sinker Boris falls for it. In fact, he even gets choked up for a second. Your old man truly believes in you, kid. You better grind hard out here, instead of ending up like my totally useless son, who skipped town for the county capital just to goof around. Good grief, I can't even track him down now, wow. Even Scrooge McDuck apparently harbors soft spots for his own offspring. It's almost making me feel guilty for calling him a total cheapskate, almost. Catch this rain. Give me a hand with this gear right here. Shoving a hefty blacksmith's hammer straight into my grip bore's commands. The exact fraction of a second, my fingers wrap securely around the handle. Ding alert, detected host has physical contact with. Blacksmith apprentice advancement medium. Blacksmith's hammer item verified. Prerequisites required to rank up into blacksmith level 1 include. Blacksmith apprentice LV 3 out of a maximum level 2 limit. Strength stats sitting at 6, constitution stats sitting at 3. And successfully fabricating 10 certified blacksmith items. Current milestones remain unmet at this time. Advancement officially failed a promotion route established, bearing massive similarities to previous Knight Squire benchmarks. Just gripping the heavy blacksmith hammer instantly activated all the necessary advancement criteria. Let's run down the checklist, starting with Blacksmith Apprentice Level 3. Mine reads 265 out of 500, so max cap isn't hit yet. Strength stat requirement 6, my current score is 7. Check off Constitution requirement 6. My current score lands right at 6 check. Forge 10, qualifying manufactured products. Standing at 0 out of 10 completions, that's our main bottleneck. Still, this means I've got crystal clear visibility on what to do next. Max out my current tier level and bang out 10 crafted items easy peasy. Boris kicks off teaching me the teamwork side of horseshoe making, with his left hand securely gripping the glowing hot iron crescent, using a pair of heavy tongs, while positioning a chisel-like tool right on top with his right. My task is to drop the heavy hammer onto that chisel, following a steady rhythm to punch deep grooves into the sizzling metal. Those specific grooves give the horseshoe a solid grip against mud and dirt. Pure medieval-style traction control right there. Even though his pricing is borderline highway robbery, Boris actually turns out to be an awesome mentor. He breaks down timing, force distribution, and the exact angle of impact, all while working at lightning speed. Literally every single word is pure gold. You performed horseshoe forging related. Comprehension improved. You have learned a new skill. Horseshoe forging. Your horseshoe forging skill has improved. Experience 2, you focused on horseshoe forging. Blacksmith apprentice. Job experience 5 plus 5 job experience. Fellows pulling gave me a measly 1 point, while actual forging hands me a sweet 5, meaning it is tracking 5 times faster. This right here is the ultimate flex of paying for a good education. The gap between free volunteering and paid instruction is honestly massive. My experience per hour just completely skyrocketed, yet a slight issue pops up. Several horseshoes get forged together by us, and they all turn out looking incredible. However, the system refuses to count them as my own creations, because Boris handled the heavy lifting of the craft, which makes total sense since I was basically just a glorified hammer robot, while he took care of all the skill parts. So those shared horseshoes won't fulfill my forge quota. 10 qualifying items requirement. Something I can craft entirely on my own is what I need. Something much simpler and way smaller. Something that still officially counts as a legitimate piece of blacksmith merchandise. Hold on, horseshoe nails. Those tiny, specialized spikes used to anchor the horseshoe to the hoof. They're small, relatively straightforward to make, and definitely qualify as a genuine blacksmith product. An old proverb from my past life even comes to mind. For want of a nail, the kingdom was lost. Horseshoe nails are undeniably essential equipment. During a quick break, I turn to Boris and ask him, can I learn how to forge horseshoe nails first? A weird look is shot my way by Boris, wondering why anyone would ever prioritize tiny nails over the much more prestigious horseshoe itself. Even so, he just shrugs since nails are part of the deal anyway, and the order doesn't really matter. Stepping right up to take my position at the anvil, I start hammering out nails. Guided by Boris's watchful eye, my initial attempts look hideous, crooked, bent, and lumpy little disasters resembling modern art. Rather than actual hardware, but with every swing, the system rewards me with experience points. My hands grow steadier and my timing noticeably sharpens, until slowly and beautifully, qualifying nails begin to emerge. And thankfully, the system counts horseshoe nails as legitimate items. Qualifying items. 1 out of February 10th. March 10th hits, and I straight up go wild, hammering out nails like a machine gun firing bullets, while sweat is flying everywhere. Golden sparks fly everywhere in a dazzling shower. As the heavy iron hammer rises and falls in a hypnotic rhythm, all the other apprentices suddenly freeze and stare at this crazy teenager, who is furiously crafting horseshoe nails. With the absolute passion of a man forging Excalibur, Boris watches me work with total bewilderment. This kid is completely obsessed with simple nails. What kind of weird flex is this anyway? He shakes his head in disbelief and mutters under his breath. It's a strange hobby you just don't understand, Boris. Every single nail is basically a stepping stone toward class advancement. These aren't just regular nails, they're total keys to my future. By lunchtime, I've actually pulled it off. Qualifying blacksmith products reached. 10 out of 10. Complete blacksmith apprentice LV3. 500/500 max level achieved. Both conditions are met at the exact same time. In just one single morning, the promotion to blacksmith is ready to drop. Boris charged me a hefty 12 silver coins for a full month of lessons. Yet I crushed all the requirements in a mere 4 hours. Talk about the best investment I've ever made. Suddenly, the system prompt flashes right in front of my eyes. All conditions met, advance to blacksmith? Yes/no. Note that the brand new blacksmith job panel will completely replace the old apprentice panel. Is this even a question? Heck yes. Yes, 1,000 times yes. I smash the yes button so hard my mental finger practically snaps. Ding. Advancement successful. Advance to blacksmith, strength +2. Core blacksmith skills have been successfully obtained. Blacksmith's might LV1 and one-handed hammer mastery. LV1 core skills are finally mine. These aren't just regular skills. We're talking core skills here, belonging to a whole new category. The glowing icons on my floating interface are literally twice the size of normal skill icons, radiating pure importance and raw strength. +2 points instead of just 1, wow. Every previous level up only handed over 1 measly free attribute point. This single class advancement just doubled that reward instantly. My strength stat rockets from 7 straight up to 9, blasting right past my spirit stat, to crown itself as my highest attribute. 9 points of sheer strength while the average adult man sits at 6. That means I'm 50% stronger than a fully grown man now. I might even edge out Hamilton's elite knight, Watchman, in a brawl. I mutter a quick excuse to Boris about grabbing some lunch, and sprint like lightning out of the bustling blacksmith shop. I sharply duck around a corner into a secluded, empty alley, and eagerly tear open my status panel. The old blacksmith apprentice page is completely gone, now replaced by a shiny, brand new blacksmith panel, and resting right there at the bottom, glowing intensely, are 2 massive, oversized core skill icons. The first one features a tiny muscular figure, flexing a bicep proudly like Popeye after eating a can of spinach. Core skill, Blacksmith's Might level 1. Active effect, when activated, your strength gets a slight temporary boost. Note, the power boost scales directly with your base strength, while the duration scales with both constitution and spirit. An active power-up skill, I can make myself temporarily even stronger on demand. It works just like a classic video game buff spell that I can conveniently pop right before a tough fight. Meanwhile, the second core skill, Hammer Mastery, is a passive ability, meaning it stays permanently switched on. Whatever hammer I grab, no matter the size, feels totally locked in like it's part of my own arm, meaning that my signature carpentry hammer takedown from last night is about to hit way harder right now. Though I've got to test out Blacksmith's Might first. Spotted by the roadside is a heavy stone, reaching halfway up my waist, weighing probably a couple 100 pounds of pure rock. Let's go. I drop into a deep squat, clutch the boulder, and pull hard with level 9 strength. Against all odds, it actually breaks free from the dirt. My face flushes red with veins throbbing on my temples. Yet I'm managing to balance this massive stone right at my waist. Just a week ago, I couldn't even pin down a donkey's leg. And now here I am pulling off boulder deadlifts. Still, I can't quite heave it over my head. There's not enough juice yet, so it's time for the secret weapon. I trigger Blacksmith's Might right away. Whoosh! A sudden wave of scorching heat blasts from my chest, making my blood race and my muscle fibers expand instantly, while thick veins pop out all over my arms, looking like a crazy roadmap of raw power. My shoulders, biceps, and forearms, everything blows up in size, as if someone's pumping me full of heavy-duty hydraulic fluid. Checking my status menu reveals strength at 9 plus 1.8, hitting nearly 11 total, which is almost double a regular adult, letting out a primal roar with zero hesitation. I hoist the massive boulder overhead and launch it forward. Through the air it sails before crashing into the dirt, 5 meters away and leaving a deep crater behind. The sensation surging through my veins is completely wild. Delivering pure, raw, masculine energy, because this is what true power feels like. This is what it genuinely means to be strong, making me crave even bigger boulders, just to see how far I can throw them. Suddenly, the internal warmth fades away after roughly 30 seconds. Okay, so the active duration isn't totally broken yet, but used as a sneak attack or a game-ending finisher. 30 seconds of near superhuman physical stats gives you plenty of time to totally ruin someone's day. Glancing up at the sun, oh man, I realize it's way past noon already. Being late for lunch means Mom is going to be way more lethal than any wanted criminal on the run. Sprinting back home, I burst through the front door, completely drenched in sweat and breathing heavily. Where were you hanging out? The blacksmith shop again? Asks Mom with that classic concerned yet mildly irritated tone. I just nod while wiping my forehead with the towel she tosses me. Words fail me as I try to figure out how to break the night watch job news to them, until Dad abruptly interrupts the silence. Rain, come here for a second. That's super unusual because Dad rarely starts conversations like this. Following him quietly into his room, I watch him pop open his battered nightstand and pull out a small bundle, wrapped neatly in faded gray linen cloth. Concealed inside are 2 slightly scuffed gold coins, along with about a dozen silver pieces, representing my parents' entire lifetime savings. The ultimate family nest egg, and basically everything they managed to save up through years of backbreaking manual labor. Pausing for a moment of hesitation, Dad picks up both gold pieces and holds them out directly toward me, saying, Rain, I know you've been hanging out at that cheapskate Boris's workshop lately, though volunteering won't get you anywhere at all with him unless you're actually paying tuition. Father, a raised hand from him immediately silences me. Your mother and I had a chat about it. So these 2 gold coins should cover enough for you to learn a technique or 2 over at Boris's place. It might help you crush the blacksmith exam down at the manor. The rest, he gestures casually toward the silver coins, stays right here for groceries since you and Mint are growing fast. Proper nutrition is an absolute must, meaning white bread, meat, and fresh eggs. Gazing at this man, this quiet, weather-beaten, sun-darkened farmer, bearing too many wrinkles and not nearly enough easy years, I watch him hand over his literal life savings. 2 gleaming gold coins that probably represent years of relentless sacrifice. Every skipped meal, every unpatched shirt, and every denied luxury. Now he's giving them to me for blacksmith lessons, simply because he believes in my potential. My throat constricts tightly, leaving me speechless for several seconds. Then with firm resolve, I push his hand and the gold coins right back. Father, you and Mom no longer need to worry about my future at all. His eyebrows shoot up in surprise as I explain the situation. I dropped some crucial intel regarding the missing children case to the brand new Sheriff Hamilton, and he's promised me a spot in the night watch once my training wraps up, before he can even formulate a response. I pulled 2 shiny, brand new gold coins straight out of my own pocket and dropped them right into his calloused palm. Sheriff Hamilton gave me this as a reward for helping out, so please stash this away for family expenses, so we can have better meals 3 times a day. I'm holding back the other 15 coins on purpose, since a massive stash would be impossible to explain away. Just tipping off the law about missing kids means 2 coins feels totally believable and entirely life-changing for our diet, leaving the remaining 13 tucked away safely for my upcoming training costs. Suddenly, the wooden door flies wide open with a loud bang. Mama's been secretly eavesdropping this whole time, and she simply cannot contain her excitement anymore. Rain, is this actually true? Of course, and if you don't believe a word I'm saying, go ahead and ask Sheriff Hamilton yourself. Over at the administrative hall, praise the goddess of fortune, Mom bursts instantly into happy tears, praying and crying all at the exact same time, while frantically alternating between thanking every single deity she knows and wiping her streaming eyes with her apron. When lunchtime arrives, Dad does something I've genuinely never witnessed before. He pops the caps off several bottles of dark rye beer, serving multiple whole bottles to himself. A guy who normally treats a solitary cup of milk like a high-end luxury. This is basically the historical equivalent of ordering expensive champagne at a 5-star Michelin restaurant. Next thing I know, he tries to pull me into drinking with him. Rain, you're a grown man now. So regarding you and Anna, whatever you decide, your father's got your back 100%. Wait, Dad, that's not. Anna and Mint are currently sitting right across the table, watching this whole awkward scene unfold with matching expressions. As Dad's drunken rambling sinks in, a wave of realization washes over Anna's confused expression. Dad's completely wasted and babbling nonsense. For a brief, intense 0.2 seconds, our gazes lock dead on. Then, we both aggressively snap our eyes away. It honestly felt like we accidentally stared straight into the sun. Her head drops downward with such sudden force. It looks like her chin's about to shatter the table. A bright, crimson flush instantly takes over her pale face. While Dad's hammered and Mom's shedding tears of pure joy. Mint's totally clueless and Anna is low-key mortified. Here, I am just chilling as a 13-year-old double murderer, bounty hunter, secret knight, and trainee blacksmith. Honestly, how my life spiraled into this chaos so fast blows my mind. Upgrading my job class unlocked crazy superpowers for me, made my parents tear up happily, and somehow got me unofficially locked down with my neighbor. All of that before 2 p.m., which is a solid W for Saturday. Right after lunch, Anna pulls me off to the side, her cheeks flushed pink and her fingers nervously fidgeting. Rain, can we talk in a room? She's desperately trying to escape back to her own house. Living with my family is apparently way too much for her to handle. It's not because they're toxic. Honestly, they're just way too nice. Mom keeps force-feeding her random snacks. Dad keeps giving slurred speeches about our non-existent relationship. And Mick keeps ambushing her with hugs. It's straight-up death by hospitality. I really want to go home. Can't do that, sorry. Her eyes pop wide open with a panicked why not? And her brain instantly goes into a total freak-out mode. That has zero to do with what I'm actually about to explain. The guy wiped out Blackbeard, has a brother running the hyena gang. He might send goons over to investigate things. Your house is basically a crime scene now, so staying there is unsafe. Anna's face drains completely white. The sweet, romantic fantasy she was accidentally dreaming up in her head crashes down like a house of cards in a hurricane. I calm her down by breaking down the night watch protocols and Hamilton's ironclad protection. She finally gives a nod. I'll help out around the house and keep Mint company then. That's perfect because Mint absolutely adores you. At the mere mention of my little sister, Anna's eyes light up and crinkle into adorable crescent moons. Those two are basically besties already anyway. Things are gonna look up, Anna. I promise. She searches my face intently, evidently finding whatever reassurance she was looking for there, and give a solid nod. Home. She's barely known me for a couple of weeks, yet somehow she trusts me blindly. I'm honestly torn on whether that's super sweet or deeply terrifying. Walking down the path toward the blacksmith shop, I finally take a look at my second core skill. Hammer Mastery LV1 passive. Whenever you equip any hammer-type weapon, your overall damage output gets a slight boost. That's a pretty situational perk. I've been grinding swordplay this entire time, so do I seriously need to pick up hammer combat moves now too? This doesn't really, synergy-wise, help my current fighting style. Still, weighing raw strength against everything else, the active blacksmith's might skill, and this new passive hammer mastery. This class evolution was an absolute game-changer. I've got zero complaints here as I review my complete stat sheet. Rain Kalen is introduced as the name. Blacksmith LV1 and 1/100/Militia LV3 328 are listed as jobs. Constitutions tally at 500s while Strength rests at 6. Agility marks 9 alongside an 8 in Spirit. Attribute points remaining total 8 with skill points sitting at 0. Wait, make that 1. Strength hits 9 and Agility counts 8. Spirit stands at 8, marking how my physical stats have leveled up completely from a malnourished noodle into a legit above-average adult warrior. In less than a month, this whole glow-up is honestly insane. Right beneath both core skills, I notice level labels are visible, though progress bars are completely missing, which implies grinding through practice probably won't raise them, as only skill points can do the job. And skill points happen to be the rarest currency across my whole system while I stare down that lonely single point, resting beside the remaining skill slots. The urge to just blow it all feels agonizing. Should I upgrade Blacksmith's might for raw power, or save it for the giant bear breathing method to totally skip the brutal grind phase, or maybe bank it for some random future emergency? Clenching my mental fist tightly, I hold back. Not yet. I refuse to spend it until I know where it yields maximum value. Down at the blacksmith shop, the whole afternoon is spent mastering horseshoe forging, alongside Boris, backed by my strength of 9. The tasks that used to drain every ounce of my energy now feel like a breeze. Boris has to pitch in less and less, as I pick up the techniques super fast. Yet the XP payout turns out pretty disappointing. Just 5 points gained for the entire afternoon. Advancing up to a true blacksmith means beginner tasks naturally take a back seat. Getting fewer experience points actually makes total sense. A legitimate blacksmith doesn't level up anymore just by bending horseshoes. Tougher projects are required, though that is a problem for another day. Right now, nightfall is creeping in, and I gotta head back to the manor. The next morning brings a fresh week. Introducing archery as our new training module, with my old buddy Humbert stepping in as the instructor. Apparently he handles both swords and bows, pulling double duty. This guy is basically the Swiss Army knife of medieval combat coaches. Instructors. We march over toward the northwest corner of the outer bailey, where 10 practice targets stand aligned in neat rows. Beneath a rain shelter rests an entire arsenal of bows, featuring short bows, war bows, and massive long bows towering over most trainees. Everyone grab a bow that fits your strength rating. Alongside a quiver, Humbert bellows out. The kids swarm the rack, most snatching up lightweight short bows, because their arms feel like wet tissue paper, while the fake rich kids, being bigger built, choose standard war bows as I reach for a Tier 2 war bow, featuring medium draw weight. Though my strength stat of 9 means I could easily handle the absolute heaviest piece on the rack, I deliberately pick something much weaker instead. There is no need to flex, and advertise that I have secretly grown stronger than every single adult in this entire training program. Thick eyebrows spots my bow selection, and does a total double take, thinking, wait, that bow carries a heavier draw weight than mine. Since what did that scrawny runt get stronger than me? Yet he keeps his mouth shut and says nothing. He just looks away, his face clouded with dark frustration. I bet the vivid memory of my knee, slamming straight into his dinner, is still keeping his manners in check. Oh, and speaking of those thick eyebrows, he's totally stressing over what happened to Drunk Jack. It's been a week, and his hired muscle has straight up vanished. Right now, that useless lush is probably blowing my 15 silver on some random widow. He'll show up eventually. He always does, buddy. Your guy is locked up in a jail cell, and the dirty sock he tasted during the interrogation has likely given him lifelong PTSD. Spoiler alert, he's never coming back. Now, moving on to archery, I seriously need to lock this down. It's a complete necessity for me, being one of my mandatory knight squire prerequisites. Achieving archery LV2 or higher is right there on the checklist. Yet I absolutely cannot waste a skill point on it right now. The current skill point shortage is way too severe. With my core skills heavily demanding investment, I'm forced to grind this out the hard way. And let me tell you, the hard way is brutal. After a grueling full day of shooting, my archery sits at a pathetic basic archery LV1. That's 8 out of 100, a measly 8 points earned in an entire day. Releasing an arrow and actually hitting a target is nothing like casually swinging a sword. Swordsmanship relies entirely on muscle memory and reflexes, things my system effortlessly accelerates for me. Archery, however, demands rock-steady hands, precise breath control, wind reading, accurate range estimation, and roughly 10,000 repetitions before your body even begins to grasp what aiming actually means. Humbert stares at me all day, clearly waiting for me to pull another secret genius move, like I miraculously did with swordsmanship. Spoiler, I don't. I'm completely average, or maybe even below average. My stray arrows fly everywhere except the center of the target. The profound disappointment in his eyes genuinely hurts. But do you want to know who's thrilled? Thick eyebrows. He's grinning like he just hit the jackpot. His smug internal monologue is practically written across his face. Rain's archery skills are absolute garbage. The guard exam evaluates both swordsmanship and archery. My second best swordsmanship, plus my top-tier archery, yields a much higher combined score than Rain's first-place swordsmanship, paired with his dead last archery. Keep dreaming, buddy. I've already got this in the bag. Go ahead and soak up your moment, Richard, because while you're busy celebrating my terrible aim, you have zero clue that I've already advanced into a full blacksmith class, unlocked 2 core skills, taken out 2 wanted criminals, pockets lined with 15 gold coins, started picking up a knight's breathing technique, straight from the Count's daughter, and even been recruited directly by the town sheriff. So yeah, definitely focus on my awful archery scores. That sounds like a brilliant strategy. With evening archery practice finally wrapped up, it's time for the real training. My confidential sessions with Lady Clea. Following a routine session of breathing exercises, Clea guides me through a concealed door at the back of her study, into an uncharted private training room I've never laid eyes on. It's a sprawling 200-square-meter paradise of pure combat, stocked with swords, great swords, heavy shields, and bows. Every single wall is completely lined with practice dummies and target posts. Inside her own castle, this girl casually built a full-on personal gym. Just rich people problems for real. Where on earth should I install my second armory? Sparks fly the moment our blades violently clash together. Upon impact, Clea is actually forced to shift a bit backward. It is not even a full step, maybe just half of one. Yet her chestnut ponytail dramatically whips around as her eyes widen in shock. Rain, has your physical strength genuinely scaled up this much? Oh crap, no way. My stats completely slipped my mind, jumping from 7 straight to 9. That happened right after my blacksmithing advancement. That is an absolute massive leap in power. And I just went all out swinging directly at Clea, simply because I have not fully adapted to my new stats yet. She was fully prepared to match my old baseline. Instead, out of nowhere, I am suddenly hitting like an absolute freight train. Clea's battle perception is insanely razor sharp. She picked up on it instantly, locking those big, brownish gray eyes onto me like a pair of high-tech X-ray scanners. You gotta think fast, Rain. Being fast? That is probably just because the giant bear breathing method vibes with me on a whole different level. I casually explain while rubbing my nose in that classic, universal gesture of, I am definitely not hiding a massive secret right now. Clea narrows her eyebrows in deep suspicion. But you're only scratching the surface with the second pose. Yvette, never witnessed anyone's combat stats spike this insanely hard, when they are barely even starting the routine. Although she pauses for a second, mentally processing it all, the giant bear breathing technique is entirely geared toward maximizing strength and constitution development. And even though it is extremely rare, there are plenty of documented records scattered across the empire, where someone's constitution happened to be freakishly compatible with one specific breathing discipline. She's essentially talking herself into buying my exact excuse. Honestly, thank you so much for that. Please keep right on convincing yourself, Lady Clea. You might be the first recorded instance right here in Mr. County, but it has definitely happened elsewhere before. Nailed it. She completely bought the whole thing. That whole my body is just built different excuse actually worked out. Yet that piercing glare she flashed me for a split second, looking as if she could peer straight through my skull and read the floating, transparent UI panels hovering behind my eyeballs, made my heart completely skip like 3 beats. Note to self. Definitely tone down your output whenever perceptive people are around. Right after that, Clea drops a bombshell that instantly makes me forget all my stress. Well, this completely changes our game plan. I was originally going to just leave you a scroll to check out later, but seeing how fast your physique is evolving right now, I'm going to teach you the giant bear breathing methods. Exclusive companion sword technique right here, right now. We are talking about real giant bear swordsmanship. An actual legit combat art, not some basic militia trash. It is a genuine knight-tier fighting style that synchronizes perfectly with my breathing technique, forming a complete and deadly combat system, as Clea carefully explains while adjusting her stance. Authentic giant bear swordsmanship was originally developed by closely mimicking the devastating claw strikes of mythical, supernatural bear beasts. The entire style heavily prioritizes overwhelming physical power, combined with completely unstoppable momentum. A heavy, two-handed greatsword serves as the weapon of choice here. Handling it properly demands substantial physical strength from the user. That capability is required just to wield it right, without proper breathing method training. Even the absolute strongest ordinary human can't effectively swing a blade weighing over 30 pounds. That explains why she didn't introduce me to this any sooner. Prior to my blacksmith advancement happening, my strength stats sat at a mere 7, making me totally unqualified. Her original plan was to leave the scroll behind for me to study. At a later date, maybe months down the road. That would happen once the breathing method had organically boosted my stats high enough. Instead, my totally normal and completely non-suspicious strength spike shave weeks right off that timeline. Given your current strength level, you should be totally fine handling the lightest grade sword available. Right here, clocking in at 36 pounds. I made my way over toward the weapon rack. An absolute massive scale defines these two-handed greatswords, featuring crossguard hilts and blades stretching over 4 feet long. They are engineered specifically to cleave straight through bone and armor. My hands gripped the lightest one there. 36 pounds of pure steel makes for a heavy piece of equipment. Even with my strength at 9, my swings don't look particularly graceful. Still, I can move the thing and actually fight with it. It's clumsy and barely manageable, but totally possible. Clea picks up a greatsword of her own and starts demonstrating the moves. 5 distinct forms make up giant bear swordsmanship. The first form is known as Fury Slash. Her expression transforms from a gorgeous, refined, noble girl into a terrifying warrior goddess. In 0 seconds flat, those powerful legs launch her forward just like a leopard pouncing, where a single explosive step covers several meters instantly. Her greatsword crashes down onto a practice dummy in a devastating overhead cleave with a loud crack. The ironwood dummy splits right down the middle, severed cleanly in half as the 2 separate pieces topple in opposite directions, and she wasn't even breaking a sweat. That was merely a quick demo rather than a full power strike. Contrasting basic swordsmanship with this technique feels like comparing a tiny firecracker to a massive missile. Your turn now. I draw a breath. Step forward, hoist the heavy, great sword overhead, and smash it down onto a wooden target post. With every ounce of energy I possess. Thunk! The blade buries itself roughly 3 inches deep into the timber. It got stuck. I give it a tug, and it doesn't budge. I pull with more force, and it just wiggles slightly. The sword remains jammed in that practice dummy, like Excalibur stuck in stone, except it looks way less heroic and infinitely more embarrassing. Clea bursts out laughing, abandoning her usual elegant chuckle, for a genuine, uncontrollable, body-shaking fit of laughter. Her shoulders tremble while her ponytail bounces around, and though she tries covering her mouth with one hand, the giggles keep escaping anyway. This marks the absolute first time I've witnessed Clea laugh, like a normal teenage girl, dropping that flawless, noble composure she always puts on. She has consistently embodied the picture of aristocratic grace, combined with battlefield intensity. Yet right now, watching me stand frozen with my weapon, stuck dead in a wooden dummy like some total noob lumberjack, she's losing it completely while my face burns bright red. Not gonna lie though, catching her break into a genuine smile like that made all this public humiliation totally worth it. Rain haha when you swing. Your wrist is way too tense. Fury Slash isn't about brute force all the way through. Keep your grip loose during the swing, and only clench and snap your wrist at the exact moment of impact. That creates a whipping force that follows through, instead of getting stuck. Another quick glance is thrown at my deeply embedded blade, while her lips tremble subtly to hold back a giggle. Okay, I get it. I mutter under my breath, yanking the steel free. Wielding a greatsword is a totally different ballgame compared to a one-handed blade. It takes completely different muscles and timing, alongside a whole new set of physics. Everything I picked up from basic swordsmanship has to be entirely recalibrated for this heavier, slower, yet way more devastating weapon. After grinding through multiple attempts, under Clea's patient and occasionally amused guidance, you practice giant bear swordsmanship. Related comprehension improved. You have learned a new skill. Giant bear swordsmanship. Your giant bear swordsmanship skill has improved. Experience 1 giant bear swordsmanship. LV1 and 1/100th appearing on my militia panel. The skill icon is no cap. Literally a bear holding a massive sword. A cartoon bear wielding a blade serves as my brand new icon. The system low-key has a wild sense of humor, though what remains completely hidden from my perspective. While I'm down here grinding away, learning to swing oversized blades, and cracking Clea up, is that something far more sinister is unfolding. Upstairs on the 2nd floor of the castle, inside a dimly lit chamber, a heavy-set warrior dressed in gray plate armor stands rigidly at attention to deliver a detailed report to a noble boy possessing cold, sinister eyes, and the whole briefing is centered entirely on me. Someone inside this fortress is watching closely, and they aren't pleased at all while down in the basement. I'm busy trying to master oversized swords, unaware that upstairs in this very same castle, a shady character named Dennis is actively plotting my downfall. It turns out his personal henchman, a quasi-knight going by Rurals, has been keeping tabs on me this whole time. He has successfully figured out that Clea is personally mentoring me with special training, and genuinely recognizes my swordsmanship potential. Dennis happens to be the son of Baron Norman, the exact same guy who got publicly humiliated by Clea for looking down on commoners as lowborn. Plus, he harbors an intense, borderline toxic obsession with Clea, having chased her romantically for ages, even following her all the way out to Habsburg Manor, only to make literally zero headway. Just how bad is his track record? Well, Cleo once laid down an ultimatum telling him to beat me in a sparring match and she would consider it. He lasted all of 3 seconds. Barely 3 seconds, the exact same duration as my first miserable attempt. Except I am just a random peasant who started training 2 weeks ago, while he is a level 3 knight squire, who has been training since childhood. We ended up with the exact same score despite his years of massive advantage. That ain't no flex for me, man. That's straight up disrespect to him. Right now, you've got Dennis lounging in his high-end chair, while his creepy, ghost white fingers drum against the armrest to hatch a devious plot. Does he choose to face me head-on, you ask? Nah, way too risky, since that might totally tick Cleo off. Is he sending his knockoff knight bodyguard to deal with me instead? Nope, way too obvious. Instead, this total snake opts to leak the intel regarding Clea's training session straight to her eldest brother, Alonzo. Yeah, the exact same Alonzo, who Hamilton warned me is tied to the Wilderness Brotherhood, that shady child trafficking syndicate. Dennis's master plan works like this. If Alonzo discovers his little sis is building her own personal clique by training commoner grunts, he'll view it as a major threat to his throne ambitions and drop the hammer on me, leaving Dennis's hands squeaky clean. It's a classic villain trope of using a borrowed blade to kill. The fate awaiting that commoner named Rain, though, is going to be hilarious. Haha. Dennis literally lets out a cartoonish supervillain laugh as he spills these details, prompting his bodyguard whirls to shower him with bootlicking praise. Young master, your genius is seriously unmatched, because apparently medieval brown-nosing sounds exactly like modern-day corporate suck-up culture. Whirls then awkwardly drops that annoying question his father, Baron Norman, keeps badgering him with. So, got any updates on scoring that romance with Lady Clea? Dennis's expression instantly darkens, hitting his biggest nerve. His ultimate trauma, his 3-second humiliation. He tried playing it clingy, shadowing her every single step, and even attempted to be romantic, but literally nothing works. He can't resort to brute force either, since Clea earned her full knighthood by age 15, and would straight up beat him into the dirt. She's about to head out for the Imperial Royal Academy, and the guy still hasn't even held her hand once. Fuming with frustration and wounded pride, Dennis does what pathetic guys throughout history have always resorted to. He takes his anger out on someone way weaker. He summons a poor servant girl answering to the name Tina, who rocks a face vaguely resembling Clea's, with about a 70% match. Whirls tracked her down across the entire county, and her own dad actually sold her off to Dennis. She thought she was landing a job as a noble's personal maid, seeing it as a major upgrade and a fairy tale beginning, only for it to turn into a nightmare on day one. To Dennis, she isn't even human. She's just a punching bag shaped like the girl he can never have. Whenever his fragile ego shatters, whenever Clea gives him the cold shoulder, or whenever he feels utterly powerless, poor Tina pays the ultimate price. Meanwhile, I'm completely clueless about all this drama, stuck downstairs getting my sword wedged in wooden training dummies, and making Clea giggle, but the gears of fate are already turning. Dennis is busy feeding dangerous intel straight to Alonzo. Alonzo is pulling strings with shady criminal syndicates, and somewhere inside this massive castle, a helpless girl who looks like Clea is quietly weeping into a crumpled scroll of parchment. Monsters and magic aren't the only things ruling this universe, you know. Silk suits and plush luxury armchairs actually conceal the genuine evil. Shifting back to my own reality right now, amidst epic training montages and grinding for XP, giant bear swordsmanship has been drilled into me by Clea at a totally insane pace over the past 3 days. Already, she has managed to instruct me in 3 forms: Fury Slash, Jump Slash, alongside Cleaving Slash. Only Fury Slash is something I genuinely feel confident using, though. The remaining 2 are still super sketchy, clunky, and clumsy as heck, basically resembling an inebriated bear tumbling down a flight of stairs, making me fairly certain Clea is rushing me due to her rapidly approaching departure date, cramming everything she can into my overwhelmed brain is her main goal prior to heading off toward the Imperial Royal Academy. Standing at LV1 right now is my giant bear swordsmanship, showcasing a cute icon of a bear wielding a massive greatsword. And honestly, every single time that little cartoon beast pops up in view, a grin just naturally spreads across my face. Whoever engineered this system definitely possessed a killer sense of humor. Experience points earned from trading blows with Clea continue reaching astronomical heights. Days of solo grind get totally outclassed by a single session with her. Attacks are fed to me at the absolute peak difficulty level. My posture gets corrected on the fly in real time, and she drives me right up against my absolute breaking point, without ever crossing that line. She is the ultimate mentor, yet she's checking out of here soon. That heavy reality sits right in my gut like a chunk of ice. Today, an expression of intense gravity settles across Clea's features. Rain, today, I'm teaching you the guard form, the only defensive technique in Giant Bear. Swordsmanship, come attack me. The final lessons are officially underway. While somewhere upstairs in the halls of power, secret intelligence regarding my very existence is about to land in some seriously dangerous hands. Time is running out fast as Clea instructs me to launch an assault, so she can showcase the guard forms. Second variation. Forward I lunge, sending my great sword cleaving downward, at a sharp 45-degree angle, putting every ounce of power into the arc. Clank! Her weapon whips up over her head in a flash, completely neutralizing my maximum power. Strike right against the strong zone of her blade. Close to the crossguard, she refuses to budge. Not even a single flinch escapes her, and her ponytail just bounces once before settling. My entire body weight backed up that brutal swing. Yet this girl shrugged it off like I tossed a soft pillow at her face. Guard form features a couple of variations. She mentions cool as a cucumber, acting like she didn't just casually tank a blow from a guy boasting strength 9. Standard blocking makes up the first variation, utilizing the robust section of the blade, following the exact same concept as single-handed swords. Things work differently for the second variation, though. Thrust at me, she commands, prompting me to execute a sharp step-in thrust, sending my blade rocketing straight for her chest. Cling. Her greatsword gets driven vertically right into the earth, acting like an unyielding wall against my attack path, hitting dead center into the blood groove of her weapon. That narrow channel running right down the middle, my sword tip gets locked tight, bringing my forward thrust to an abrupt halt. No sliding saiguas happens whatsoever. No scraping past toward her body occurs. It is pure, lockdown defense. Even a counterattack wasn't attempted by her, while my weapon stays completely trapped inside that groove, just like a locomotive locked onto a set of steel rails. See, when an adversary lunges forward with rapid stabs, trying to parry using the heavy forte becomes an uphill battle, yet catching their blade tip via the fuller proves to be a way safer bet. Right after you block, though, launching a riposte is mandatory. Giant Bear swordsmanship is not built for passive turtle play. Your main objective is unleashing relentless pressure to completely shatter the opponent's timing and force them onto their heels. This actually makes total sense once you break it down. All 5 forms packed into total fury. Slash jump, slash cleaving, slash guard, and that mysterious whirlwind slash we haven't touched yet. 4 out of those 5 literally feature slash in their title. This entire combat style exists for one sole purpose: smacking foes incredibly hard using a massive chunk of steel, over and over until they stop twitching entirely. Defense is merely a quick timeout before you dive right back into the chaos. Following 3 days of brutal grinding alongside Clea, my militia class has officially leveled up once more. Militia level 4, 18-1. Another attribute point and skill point secured in the bank. I am currently hoarding both rewards, since dumping stats instantly refills my stamina bar, acting as a free emergency panic button, while those skill points stay untouched, because I honestly cannot make up my mind between maxing core abilities or grinding out the brutal breathing postures. Suddenly Clea halts my training session, dropping a teaser that instantly makes my ears perk up. Rain. The final technique I am showing you today belongs to the Giant Bear swordsmanship's secret arts. This secret Giant Bear method is an exclusive property, locked down solely by the Habsburg family line, as it remains widely recognized across Imperial high society. Yet only bloodlines dedicating generations to its study can forge their own unique signature moves. Today I'm going to pass down the Habsburg household's custom invention, Roaring Strike, which demands insane lung capacity to mimic the sonic boom of an actual mythical bear charging at prey, blending the whirlwind/sonic properties with pure physical impact to create a devastating combo finisher. Suppose 2 combatants are locked in an even match, and one of them abruptly unleashes a sonic shockwave straight into the other's face. That split second of absolute disorientation gives you all the opening required to deliver the fatal blow. Watch me demonstrate, so brace yourself. I grip my greatsword tightly with the blade angled up at a sharp 45-degree tilt, planting my boots firmly high. A tidal wave of sound bursts forth from Clea's throat, striking me with the impact of a physical truck. The sheer air pressure ripples across my face. Sharp spikes of agony pierce my eardrums, turning my brain completely to static fuzz. Everything turns blurry and starts ringing loudly, for roughly half a second until my vision finally refocuses, and Clea's greatsword is resting effortlessly against my throat. I didn't even catch a glimpse of her moving. Just half a second of being totally dizzied was enough for her to close the gap and take me out. She bursts out laughing at my completely blank expression again. This girl somehow keeps inventing new ways to make me look like a total clown, and she is clearly living for every second of it. Ahem, so Rain. Could you actually feel the absolute devastation of that roaring strike? Being a woman, I'm honestly operating at a major disadvantage with this move. Plus, I'm not even utilizing the giant bear breathing technique, meaning that was just a trial run. That brain-rattling sonic wave right there, that was her executing it poorly using the completely wrong method. Given my naturally smaller lung capacity as a female, if some male knight who had fully mastered the giant bear breathing method unleashed this at max power, my eardrums would literally pop. Blood would be pouring out of my ears, and I would be totally knocked out cold. In an actual real-deal fight, you aren't just stunned for half a second. You are dead before your body even hits the dirt. For the very first time, I finally get why Constitution is such a big deal. A high Constitution builds heavy resistance against stuns, severe disorientation, and nasty status debuffs. It grants you a quicker physical recovery, allowing you to tank things that would completely wreck a weaker build. My Constitution is sitting at a measly 6 points on average, against a lethal technique like a roaring strike. From an actual master, I would fold up instantly like wet cardboard. The giant bear breathing method isn't just about beefing up your muscles. It is about forging an entirely bulletproof physique, capable of surviving in this wild world. Right then, I noticed Clea hanging her sword back up on the rack, and there was a heavy, final vibe to the gesture. Rain, I'm heading back to the county capital tonight to see my father, she paused, adding, tomorrow morning, I am leaving Meister County for the Imperial Royal Academy. Those words struck me dead on like one of her own furious slashes. She was walking out tomorrow. I totally knew this was coming. She had literally told me it was happening. But understanding a fact logically and actually feeling it hit your chest are two entirely different ballgames. Over the span of just a few short weeks, this girl had handed me everything. A breathing method, a unique sword style, a secret technique, rage bear meat, black tongue oil, private combat training sessions, genuine tactical wisdom, and most importantly, she gave me a fighting chance, a real shot, at becoming someone greater than just a tenant farmer's son, who spends his days trimming donkey hooves. Without Clea, I would still be grinding mundane hoof experience, and merely daydreaming about scoring a guard gig. She spotted potential in me when absolutely nobody else cared, taking a massive gamble on a random peasant boy, when she stood to gain nothing and risk everything. And now, she's stepping up and leaving for the Imperial Royal Academy, the most elite institution across the entire Dragonar Empire, right where she belongs. Meanwhile, I'm stuck right here in Shining Gold Town, holding my cartoonish bear sword icon, boasting a measly 9 points of strength, and staring at a knight squire requirement checklist that still features way more red X's than green checkmarks. My throat suddenly tightened, and not because I'm caught up in some romance. I'm definitely not delusional enough to think a lowly farmer's kid and a high-ranking count's daughter are in the same league. It choked me up because she genuinely believed in me. And now the one person who trusted my potential the most is walking away. An echoing emptiness has already settled across the training room. Today's practice wraps up right here. Should anything come up once I'm gone, reach out to Shadia, who gives me a quiet nod from the dark corner. She's set to be my go-to contact moving forward. My total lifeline the moment Clea walks out that door. Yet before she makes her exit, one burning question demands to be asked. Is Lady Clea's night path truly the sole avenue to achieve greatness in this realm? She lets out a laugh as if I've just asked whether the sky is fundamentally blue. No way, because multiple pathways to extraordinary power exist out there. The various religious orders each maintain their distinct supernatural routes. though walking those demands total devotion as a deity's follower, meaning there are definitely strings attached. By contrast, the night path remains the most reliable option, revolving primarily around your own physical potential. It demands the absolute minimum external reliance and offers the easiest entry point for ordinary folks. She explains how these unique night breathing techniques stem from humanity's ancient observations of fossilized beasts. These were ordinary creatures warped by mysterious forces that unlocked god-tier strength, speed, and regeneration, essentially living, breathing beast versions of knights. Both knights and ferocified beasts travel down that exact same road. By completely shattering physical boundaries, humans utilize specialized breathing methods, while animals depend entirely on raw talent or bloodline. Suddenly she pulls a stunt that makes my eyes threaten to pop right out of my head. Her arm, that slender, graceful feminine arm, abruptly blows up in size. Muscle mass surges until it's nearly doubled. In a split second, the sleeve of her hunting jacket pulls taut, resembling a sausage casing ready to blow. Thick veins ripple right beneath her skin. Then, with equal speed, it snaps right back to normal, becoming slim and elegant again as if nothing ever happened. What the actual heck? She literally went full-on Hulk mode. Her arm transformed into a beastly bodybuilder's limb for 2 seconds flat, before instantly reverting to top-tier supermodel proportions. That isn't just muscle power, that's outright shape-shifting. It's the true might of a formal knight, completely shattering human physical limitations. We simply call this a limit break. Back in the day, it was officially labeled ferocification, matching the beasts, but people later changed the name to easily separate humans from wild animals. Thus, being a legit knight means you have the ability to temporarily morph your physique, to unleash raw force far beyond typical human capabilities. That's precisely how Clea can whip around an 80-pound greatsword. Like it's a twig, she isn't merely strong. She completely rewrites the laws of what a human body can handle, and she nailed this by age 15. This girl is playing on a completely different planet, compared to anything I could have pictured, anyway. I've got to bounce now, she notes while glancing past the window. Night is falling, Rain. This universe is way wider than you can possibly comprehend, and infinitely more dangerous. The giant bear breathing technique has been taught to you, alongside giant bear swordsmanship. So put in the work, she pauses, her brownish-gray eyes locking onto mine for a fleeting beat. I'm genuinely hoping that in a year, you can blow my mind with a massive surprise. 12 months, that is my absolute deadline. Giving me her word, she offers a gentle smile. It is a strikingly warm and authentic smile. Flipping her chestnut ponytail over her shoulder, she strides out the threshold. Melting away into the gloomy shadows of the castle, her silhouette vanishes, just like a shooting star burning out of sight. In a heartbeat, my mentor is simply gone. An overwhelming sense of emptiness fills the massive chamber. Standing silently in place are the practice dummies, catching the flickering amber candlelight. The great swords gleam upon the rack. They remain poised, waiting for a guiding hand that will never return. A full year stretches ahead endlessly. I am handed 365 days to earn someone worthy of that smile. Unbeknownst to me at this exact microsecond, however, deep within the county capital, inside the lavish Habsburg family mansion, a guy named Alonso is wrapping up his dinner. When I say wrapping up dinner, I literally mean he just devoured an entire rack of beef ribs, slicing straight through the dense bones with a silver knife like butter. He then proceeds to suck out the marrow. The guy literally treats solid bone like a soft breadstick. That happens when you are a formal knight, whose jaw strength could easily crush a car door. Waiting patiently until the maids clear out, his loyal butler Michelle steps forward to deliver the fresh intel, funneled straight from Dennis's spy network. Sir, your sister Clea seems to have taken a personal protege under her wing. Over at Habsburg Manor, a peasant kid packing some serious sword talent, taking a casual sip of red wine, Alonso doesn't even bother looking up. When is Clea heading off to the capital? Within 3 days, sir. Otherwise, she will completely miss the Royal Academy's opening ceremony. A nonchalant nod is followed by another casual sip of wine, before speaking in the exact tone someone uses to order a sandwich. Then let us grant my dear sister this little courtesy. Wait until she has departed, Michelle, and then wipe this farmer's kid off the map. Wipe him out. No background checks, no warnings, no negotiations, just completely erase him like a pencil smudge on parchment paper. Understood, Baron. Just as Michelle is about to turn and leave, Alonso drops one more question into the air. What is the status of the Black Flame prayer ceremony? When can we actually execute it? There have been a few hiccups, sir. Certain ritual items are taking much longer to compile because of heightened security measures. Push them to speed it up. My patience has completely run out. The Black Flame prayer ceremony. Those illicit components needing to be collected in total secrecy. Tightened security creating massive roadblocks. Does this jog your memory about those abducted kids? The exact youths being rounded up for the Wilderness Brotherhood? Remember Hamilton's explicit warning that Alonso maintained deep ties with the Wilderness Brotherhood? Yes, those are precisely the dark components in question. Retreating into his private study, Alonso starts absently spinning a heavy silver family crest right between his fingertips. It depicts a diving eagle with outspread wings and razor-sharp grasping talons. Not just any ordinary bird, it is a formidable Kali bird, a terrifying supernatural raptor, boasting a 13-foot wingspan that strikes prey like a fighter jet, emblazoned as the Habsburg family crest. It represents his birthright, the very inheritance he is terrified to lose. Because right there lies Alonso's ultimate flaw, being the firstborn male. The top spot for the family inheritance usually belongs to him by default. However, in this brutal society we're looking at, an overwhelming power disparity among brothers and sisters means that seniority gets completely thrown out the window. Take his half-sibling, Descartes, an active-duty soldier embedded in the Imperial Armed Forces. The guy is totally killing it with an incredibly promising trajectory. Then you have Clea, his half-sister, whose official knighthood was achieved at the crazy young age of 15, before she scooped up an acceptance letter to the Imperial Royal Academy. She's a straight-up once-in-a-generation prodigy. Meanwhile, Alonso, a rank of Formula 1 wasn't even attained by him until he hit his late 20s, leaving him hopelessly outclassed as the absolute runt of the litter. Furthermore, a purely toxic dynamic has defined his connection to them, ever since they were literal toddlers. Thanks to his mom stirring the pot back then, any chance of reconciliation is completely ghosted now. Sweating under the dim candlelight, the dude is panicking because his birthright is practically evaporating. Every single metric of success is currently dominated by those younger siblings of his. So what's his big brain fix? A highly classified, totally unhinged dark magic ceremony. Sourced straight from an underground syndicate notorious for snatching kids. The heavy metal of the family crest is crushed tightly inside his trembling palm. May the legendary power of the Black Flame prayer ritual actually be legit. Okay, let me just wrap my head around this dumpster fire. My assassination has just been greenlit by some psycho baron, whose literal dinner menu consists of human bones. My cover has already been blown by his underground intelligence ring. The sole heavy hitter keeping me breathing, Clea, will be packing up and dipping out of the territory by tomorrow morning. To top it off, the guy plotting to put me 6 feet under has his hands dirty with creepy child sacrifice cult stuff. So there I am, chilling under the dusty beams of a vacant dojo, feeling pretty hyped about my recently upgraded blade techniques, entirely clueless to the fact that a literal ticking clock on my life has officially been triggered. Getting Clea's approval within a year was the main goal, but making it to the weekend without dying is suddenly top priority. Currently, I'm catching some well-deserved ZS over in George's dorm, a room I relocated to following that massive throwdown with the bushy-browed dude. At the exact moment absolute bedlam violently erupts across the Habsburg estate, allow me to stitch together the chain of events, using all the intel I gathered after the dust settled. Since I was mercifully absent from that specific room, dodged a massive bullet there, buried within the shadowy canopy of the Night Song Woods, out west of Shining Gold Town. A brutal race known as gnolls makes their home. Basically, they're terrifying bipedal freaks rocking hyena heads. Well, a specific member of this species going by the name Savage Claw recently took a huge L. This beast is an absolute unit, standing way past the 7-foot mark, and packing 350 pounds of muscle, casting a massive shadow over your run-of-the-mill gnoll. The alpha position of a Lowland pack was proudly held by him. His daily grind was pretty sweet. Chow down, catch some sleep, bully the runts of the litter, and do it all over again. That is, until an even chunkier contender emerged from the dense timberland. Reaching 7'4", this new arrival was pure nightmare fuel, and immediately threw down the gauntlet for the title of Alpha. The crown was snatched from Savage Claw, yet his life was spared, entirely thanks to a wildly OP passive trait this gnoll possesses. whenever he pushes his physical limits to the max. His entire physique gets coated in this dim, glowing blue aura, which literally hacks physics by nullifying atmospheric drag. Speeds bordering on the ridiculous are achieved through this. While any trace of his body odor gets fully scrubbed from the air, he essentially becomes the ultimate ninja apex predator. Pursuing a target like that was too much of a hassle, even for the new boss. Stripped of his crew and starving, the exile monster is forced to wander, navigating eastward through the brush right toward human territory. His crosshairs are locked straight onto shining Gold Town. Driven by a lingering craving for flesh he's definitely sampled in the past. 3 times has he craved human females, especially remembering their tender texture. Soft and yielding. Juicy, in his own words. With crimson liquid bursting upon every single bite. Human beings are viewed by this creature strictly as meals. We are just food to it. And his ultimate favorite dish has been deeply yearned for ages. Slipping silently past the night watch patrols. His exceptional scent-masking trick renders him virtually undetectable in the shadows, until he successfully navigates right into a massive, fenced compound featuring an open field. This is the outer bailey of Habsburg Manor, where the trainee dorms are located. A pungent aroma suddenly makes his gargantuan throat bob. With intense hunger, young humans, clustered together in massive numbers, slumbering fresh meat, which he considers the absolute peak of cuisine. His glowing eyes study the patrol routines closely, as armed guards march by at steady intervals. These fellows were chainmail while carrying shields and swords. Savage Claw feels zero personal fear toward them individually. Yet he is smart enough to realize that engaging them in combat would trigger piercing screams to summon backup, which might eventually draw out the iron-skinned men. The formidable knights, and knights are bad news, given that some match his own strength, or perhaps even exceed it, prompting him to wait patiently, with the cold patience of a seasoned apex predator. And once the patrol clears, he makes his bold move. Inside, the very dormitory I used to call home before my transfer. The exhausted trainees are dead asleep from brutal archery drills. Loud snoring echoes throughout the dim chamber, while Thick Eyebrows lies wide awake in his cot, still brooding over drunk Jack's mysterious disappearance and his own botched revenge attempt. Until the heavy front door bangs open abruptly. What kind of absolute clown is slamming doors at this hour? He mutters mentally, before a strange chewing sound catches his ear. This isn't any stealthy midnight snack munching. It sounds wet, sickeningly loud, and bone-shatteringly brutal, resembling something devouring an entire skeleton, originating straight from the beds near the entrance. Wait a second, whose bunk is right by that door? That used to be my exact spot prior to my relocation, though someone else occupies it now. Thick Eyebrows bolts upright, squinting sharply toward the dark entryway. A hulking mountain of shadow is crouching low by the threshold, an enormous, heavily hunched silhouette, clutching a long cylindrical object and shoving it fiercely into its maw. The stench of fresh blood hits him like a freight train. That long object turns out to be a human leg. Beneath the faint, ghostly moonlight, Thick Eyebrows manages to make out the terrifying form. It's humanoid, draped in tattered leather remnants, with armor and chainmail strapped haphazardly across its massive frame. And instead of a normal human head, it bears the grotesque, elongated skull of a giant hyena. Its dripping jaws glint menacingly while blood-red eyes flash in the dark. Holy crap, a 7-foot-tall, 350-pound monster is literally devouring a trainee right there in the doorway, just 6 beds away from Thick Eyebrows. 6 beds, and his panicked brain calculates the grim odds instantly. There are 6 sleeping souls standing between me and that nightmare. It's currently chowing down on a guy right by the door, if it happens to still be hungry after finishing him off. 5 more victims lie in its path before it can ever reach me. And if it eats 2, that leaves only 4, as the third one gets devoured. The iron bed frame rattles violently against the wall under his uncontrollable tremors. Mom, please. I don't want to die, Dad. All that prior bullying completely vanishes from his thoughts, alongside his usual scheme-heavy tough guy routine. Right now, Thick Eyebrows is just a petrified 13-year-old kid, frozen in shock as a literal nightmare feasts on his peer. His mind completely shatters until a sudden thought of the patrol saves him. Security guards make their rounds every couple of minutes. Those loud patrols used to annoy him endlessly, since their heavy stomping footsteps always dragged him out of sleep. Yet those marching sounds are suddenly the absolute sweetest noise in existence. He strains to listen intently, pushing his hearing past the gruesome wet. Chewing noises. 1 minute passes with absolute silence. 2 minutes bring nothing at all. Every single passing second stretches out like an eternity. The grotesque feast keeps on going. Then heavy, rhythmic boot steps finally start closing in. Gathering every drop of air left in his chest, thick eyebrows screams out, "Help!" There's a monster and freckle face instantly bolts upright right next to him. "Are you out of your mind? What are you yelling about?" Then the stench hits them, followed immediately by the sound, causing every single trainee in the quarters to sit straight up and spot the silhouette standing near the entrance. A towering 7-foot hyena-headed nightmare, clutching a half-consumed human leg in its claws. Thick blood and shredded muscle tissue dangle from jaws, wide enough to easily crush a watermelon. Pure, chaotic pandemonium erupts across the room. Savage Claw grows irritated since his original plan was straightforward. Devour 2 kids silently, grab 2 extras for tomorrow, and slip away before anyone notices anything. Yet this screaming baby just completely botched the whole mission. He lunges at the closest trainee station by the exit. A poor kid who is completely paralyzed by pure dread tucks the boy under his arm like a simple grocery bag and crashes right through the wooden door. The barrier doesn't just open, it completely disintegrates. Splintered wooden planks burst outward like flying shrapnel. 2 guards rushing urgently toward the entrance get blindsided by a 350-pound hyena battering ram and fly hurling 7 or 8 meters backward through the air. Savage Claw vanishes into the dark night, with his kidnapped victim clamped under his arm. By the time I fully wake up and step out of George's dorm, the entire Habsburg Manor is blazing bright like midday. Flaming torches line the hallways everywhere. Panicked guards sprint frantically in every direction. Sharp orders echo through the frantic air. And from down the hall inside the other dormitory, the very one I used to bunk in, waves of heavy sobbing and crying fill the space. 2 trainees ended up dead, while 1 remains missing, abducted straight by the beast. Tragically, one of those slain boys was sleeping in my former bed, the exact spot I'd still be occupying right now, if thick eyebrows hadn't provoked me into that brawl, which ultimately got me reassigned to George's room. Let that heavy realization sink in for a second. That annoying bully actually low-key saved my life, had he not made my daily routine absolute misery. Or if the steward hadn't relocated me to another dorm. Following our messy fight, I would have been the one stationed right by that door, making me the first victim on the menu. The universe genuinely possesses a wild sense of dark humor, just as thick eyebrows screams out monster. Fully alert, I wasn't just casually drowsy or half asleep. This wasn't any sluggish, "what time is it" awakening. It was total combat readiness. Both spoken words rang out crystal clear through my heightened senses. "Help and monster." George got rattled so violently by my shaking that his teeth clicked together. "Wake everyone up right now," I whispered urgently. Darting across the floor, I threw myself at the door to peek outside, toward the opposite barracks. An eerie, unnatural stillness hung over that building for a split second. Total confusion washed over me. If there was actually a beast on the loose, where's all the noise? A 5-man patrol squad suddenly came barreling past, their heavy boots thudding toward the neighboring dorm. And right then, my heart completely stopped and my scalp turned ice cold. The pupils in my eyes contracted down to tiny pinpricks. A massive, pitch-black silhouette violently erupted right out of the adjacent dormitory. Instead of the wooden door simply swinging open, it blew apart into a cloud of splintered wood and flying planks, like fragments from a detonated grenade, raining debris down on the approaching guards. 2 soldiers took direct body checks from this hulking terror, sent flying 7 or 8 meters backward through the air, like helpless ragdolls without missing a beat, without even slowing its relentless momentum. This enormous humanoid shadow scooped up a shirtless, scrawny trainee, under one arm like he was nothing more than a loaf of bread, leaped effortlessly over the outer courtyard fence, and vanished straight into the pitch blackness. The velocity, having watched Olympic sprinters on TV back in my former life, even Usain Bolt running at full tilt, this thing was exponentially faster. It was on a completely different level of speed. Clearing the fence in a blur, it disappeared into the night, as though someone had strapped a rocket engine to its back. Under the cold moonlight, I managed to catch a terrifying look at it. A muscular frame drenched in coarse, bristly fur, featuring thick, powerful arms and a head that was undeniably non-human. It possessed the terrifying head of a hyena planted atop a 7-foot humanoid body, decked out in tattered scraps of leather armor and chainmail. A gnoll, a feral, battle-hardened gnoll, the literal fantasy world equivalent of a superpowered apex predator that views humans as its personal menu. And in mere seconds, it had just devoured 2 trainees and abducted a third, right from the dormitory sitting directly opposite mine. That exact dormitory where I used to claim the bed right by the entrance. My former sleeping spot was precisely where the first strike landed. Had thick eyebrows not aggressively picked a fight with me, had I never thrown that punch straight into his gut, and had the doormaster not shuffle me over to George's room, I would have been served up as the main appetizer. The cosmic irony of the situation was choking me out. My bully inadvertently saved my very existence by acting like such a total, unbearable jerk. I got transferred away to the safe zone. Right now, though, philosophical irony was the last thing on my mind. I was entirely fixated on the nightmare I had just witnessed. That creature possessed raw power that completely eclipsed mine, moving with blinding speed. It tore through solid wood like fragile tissue paper, and tossed armored guards around the courtyard like plastic playthings. Had it chosen our specific dormitory as its target instead, bursting straight through our threshold, what on earth could I have possibly done? Nothing. Absolutely nothing at all, despite all my current stats, every single skill, and all my grueling training. I would have been completely defenseless. Perhaps I might have managed to twitch a fraction faster than the other kids. Perhaps dodging that initial strike was entirely possible for me, though actually eliminating the beast and trading blows with it using my present abilities was completely out of the question. Lately, I've been feeling pretty low-key, unstoppable about myself, holding Strength 9 and Advanced Blacksmith core skills, plus giant bear swordsmanship after dropping 2 wanted criminals. Honestly, I was starting to think I was kind of big deal. Yet, that Knoll just gave me a rude awakening that I'm a complete nobody in this realm. Real danger never bothers to wait until you're prepared. Nor does it check your power level before jumping you. It just strikes out of nowhere. And if you lack the necessary muscle when it drops by, you simply get wiped out with 0-second chances. There are no checkpoints, no do-overs, and no respawns available. While my poker face stays frozen, a total hurricane is raging inside my head. Leveling up my strength and speed has become an absolute must. And it needs to happen right now instead of according to some casual timeline. Suddenly, the entire manor explodes into maximum emergency mode. Blazing torches are casting shadows everywhere, as guards clad in chain mail, wielding heavy swords and shields, come flooding through every corridor from all sides. Several troopers bring in greyhound tracking hounds, which instantly catch the sharp scent of the knoll, tracking its exact trail and direction, though nobody moves to chase it yet. Everyone is waiting for the big boss. Then he strides in, a towering figure encased in heavy plate armor, with a dark cloak dramatically billowing behind his shoulders. Every single guard immediately snaps to strict attention. Lord Lloyd, the supreme butler of the manor, has arrived. He is the actual veteran knight running all operations at Habsburg Manor. The sheer chaos transforms into disciplined order the microsecond he steps foot inside. That right there is the true aura of a seasoned knight, extending far beyond mere combat skills, to command an imposing presence that forces panicking soldiers to stand upright and gather their wits instantly. The status report is grim. 2 trainees confirmed dead, and 1 missing, heavily suspected of being abducted based on eyewitness accounts, along with the massive, brutal footprints left at the crime scene. The culprit pointing to a rogue wandering knoll that is abnormally oversized and completely ferocified. Knight Lloyd inspects the wrecked dormitory entrance closely, revealing a massive 3-meter-tall crater where the front door used to be, framed by thousands of jagged wooden splinters. Opening the door was never the beast's intention. Instead, it smashed through the entryway at full velocity, turning the solid barrier into literal confetti. Right after that, another heavy hitter enters the scene. Instructor Perez steps forward, acting as the elite sword master for the noble trainees. Dressed in gleaming full-plate armor, he radiates the quiet, terrifying self-assurance of a professional who has slaughtered things my mind can't even process. Lord Lloyd, evidence suggests this is a ferocified knoll, Perez states, and it's wildly rare. What is your official recommendation? Pursuing it at night is out of the question. Lloyd replies, noting that the dark forest belongs entirely to them, rather than to us. Wandering out there could lead us straight into something far more dangerous than just a knoll. Therefore, my advice is a total lockdown until first light. And only then should we coordinate a joint sweep with Sheriff Hamilton. Even seasoned knights refuse to tangle with this monstrosity. Inside the pitch-black woods where the night belongs strictly to the monsters. Stepping foot in there right now would be absolute suicide, even for boosted superhumans. With a sharp nod of agreement, Lloyd immediately starts barking orders. Reinforce every single vulnerable perimeter point immediately, starting with the servant quarters and the stables. Animal pens. A rider needs to be dispatched to Shining Gold Town right now, to give them a heads up that the knoll might head that way. Looking for an easier meal, and then Humbert, our sword instructor, rushes over to us trainees looking super stressed out. Training is canceled. And every single one of you is heading back to town right now. The realization hits me instantly, with a mutated knoll running loose around here, leaving dozens of defenseless trainees at. The manor is way too risky if more kids get taken out. Lloyd's taking no chances, so it's much safer to send us home, where we're at least behind defensive town walls, instead of sleeping in wooden shacks, right next to a monster-infested forest. A squad of armed guards leads all of us through the dark, spooky roads, back toward Shining Gold Town. Total silence fills the air, with zero jokes being made. The only sounds are boots crunching on dirt, and the occasional muffled sob from a kid who just witnessed their classmate get devoured. George trudges right next to me, looking ghost white, every now and then, darting his eyes back at the pitch-black tree-line, as if he expects a hyena head to pop out. At any second, I keep my mouth shut, my jaw clenched tight, and my mind going a mile a minute. 2 trainees dead and 1 kidnapped. Produce un mutated monster. That's way faster and stronger than anything I can currently handle in a fight. There's also an assassination order from Baron Alonzo that I don't even know about yet. A bully's hired thug sitting in a jail cell, a crime boss whose brother I took out, a noble stalker leaking my identity to my worst enemies. And Clea, my teacher, my sponsor, and my shield is gone. Tonight, I'm completely on my own. I've got 1 year to become a knight, but first I need to survive whatever tomorrow brings. The night air is freezing, the indifferent stars shine above, and somewhere deep inside Song Forest, a towering 7-foot hyena man is enjoying his midnight snack. Welcome to the extraordinary world, Rain Kalen, where everything is trying to take you down. Knock, knock, knock. Dad swings the door open, and there I am, his son, who was supposed to be safely tucked away at the manor. For another week, shivering in the chilly night air, looking like I just witnessed someone get eaten alive. Because I actually did. Rain, what happened? Why are you back? I decided honesty was the best policy. This news is going to spread across town by morning anyway. And more importantly, Dad works at a farm on the outskirts of town. If a 7-foot hyena monster is prowling the countryside, hunting for human meals, farmers working all by themselves out in the fields are basically sitting ducks. Father. A knoll launched an attack on one of our dormitories tonight. 2 are dead and 1 was kidnapped. Dad's face loses all its color since he knows what knolls are, having caught a glimpse of one back when he was young. Creatures like that are supposed to stay deep in the wilderness, not show up right here. Meanwhile, Instructor Perez and Knight Lloyd are totally taking care of it. Word has officially been given to the town. Everything should be sorted out soon enough. On purpose, I leave out the terrifying detail that this thing is a beefed-up knoll, sporting strength that can totally go toe-to-toe with an actual knight. Dropping that info on my family would accomplish literally 0 good things, aside from giving everyone month-long anxiety and nightmares. Mom, please don't venture into the woods tomorrow to grab firewood. Do yourself a favor and stay safe inside town limits, Dad. You shouldn't head out to the farm either. Just chill indoors for a day or 2, all right? Whatever you say, kiddo, Dad agrees without missing a beat. Ever since I dropped the news about scoring the night watch gig, Dad's whole vibe toward me has totally shifted. It's like I'm suddenly treated as an actual adult, someone whose perspective and choices actually hold value. My voice carries weight around here now, and honestly, it feels low-key, amazing, yet super heavy all at once. Heading upstairs, I'm ready to pass out for the rest of the night, with Anna crashing in Mint's room instead. My old bedroom is finally mine again, and I've barely even settled into the mattress when suddenly, knock, knock, knock. Are you for real? Dad peeks through the door crack, spotting 3 dudes rocking black leather armor and holding burning torches, and he throws the door wide open instantly. Night watchman, stepping down the stairs, I instantly recognize the squad leader. He's the exact guy whose usual patrol route covers my block. We've definitely run into each other before, Rain. We're super short-staffed tonight. Sheriff Hamilton is putting out a direct order for you to join our patrol. Through this sector, I don't even hesitate for a single second. This is literally my neighborhood. My family sleeps right here, so if that Noel decides to start hunting on the south side of town, I'd rather be out here gripping a weapon, instead of hiding in bed, waiting to hear terrified screams. Just give me 2 minutes. Don't even bother trekking upstairs to grab your gear. We brought everything you need. Stepping forward from behind the leader, another watchman hands me a complete night watch kit. Sleek black leather armor, a sturdy bow with a full quiver of arrows, and a hand-and-a-half sword. I quickly buckle everything into place. The dark leather fits me surprisingly well, considering it was tossed together on zero notice. Check out that hand-and-a-half sword. The exact same style of weapon I've been low-key admiring on the Watchman for weeks, nestling perfectly against my hip now that I'm fully geared up, catching my own reflection in the window pane. If you completely overlook my slightly youthful face, and the fact that I'm shorter than everyone else out here, I actually look like a legitimate night watchman. The absolute real deal. Mom suddenly appears by the staircase, tightly wrapped in a warm shawl, deep worry carved into every single line of her face. Rain, please be careful. She had been overflowing with joy back when I first told her about landing the night watch job. A solid government gig providing a stable income, meaning her boy finally had a secure future ahead. But now, watching her 13-year-old kid buckle on a real sword and step right out into the pitch-black night to hunt down a bloodthirsty monster, the harsh reality of what being a night watchman truly entails just hits her like an absolute freight train. Don't worry, Mom, I've got this handled. With that promise echoing behind me, I step out into the freezing night air, flanked by 3 seasoned veterans ready for action, while a whole neighborhood of petrified townsfolk stays locked indoors. Rain, were those casualties actually trainees, enrolled in a manor program? The squad leader inquires as our patrol kicks off. Yeah, I totally watched that Noel burst straight out of the dormitory block. It obliterated the heavy front door, sent 2 armored guards flying through the air like ragdolls, and cleared the perimeter fence at a speed that totally blew my mind, unlike anything I've ever seen. I'm dead-ass serious when I say this. No cap. The memory of that colossal shadow, smashing through solid wood and tossing soldiers around like they were made of cheap construction paper, is permanently burned into the back of my eyelids. If I had to ballpark those stats using systemetrics, strength was at least 18, maybe even 20, pushing way past any human limits I've ever encountered, far beyond anything my current build could possibly handle. Uneasy glances are quietly exchanged among the 3 watchmen. They know my reputation all too well, as the rookie who took down 2 wanted criminals completely solo. So when that same kid calls something terrifying, you know it's real. And they realize they need to treat this threat with extreme caution. Standing orders have already been dropped by Hamilton. Should any patrol spot that Noel prowling around, a signal arrow must be fired into the sky immediately, before 30 seconds pass. Every single squad across the entirety of Shining Gold Town will converge rapidly on your coordinates, while Hamilton himself sprints straight to the scene. Taking on this beast alone is a suicide mission for anyone. Our mission parameters are pretty straightforward. Patrol 2 main blocks within the South Residential District. Keep the street lamps lit, stay vigilant, and protect the civilians. Let's kick things off by illuminating every single lamp. The squad leader calls out, breaking the heavy silence. Normally, to conserve expensive fuel during peaceful nights, a portion of the street lights are left unlit. Yet tonight, every single wick is burning bright. Maximum visibility, leaving 0 dark corners for an ambush predator. A specialized blend featuring whale oil powers these lamps, making it a costly endeavor when lighting up dozens at once. Still, nobody is stressing over expenses tonight. Let me pitch in and take care of that, I chime in eagerly. Gotta harness that new guy energy and score some major brownie points with the veterans, strengthening those crucial workplace bonds. Snatch a wooden match from my pouch, reach inside the glass housing, and catch the wick on fire. Ding, notification registered. Host is actively performing street lamp upkeep tasks. Class evolution pathway unlocked. Night Watchman. Prerequisites required to advance into Night Watchman level 1 include Militia rank level 3 or higher, check. Strength 7, Agility 6. Constitution 6, check. Any swordsmanship skill at level 3. Any archery skill at level 2. Current baseline conditions have not been met. Advancement toward Night Watchman status has unfortunately failed. A brand new combat class option pops up right before my eyes, sending a sudden rush of pure adrenaline straight through my veins. This goes beyond just standard blacksmith and militia tracks. An authentic, system-endorsed career path, as a Night Watchman, is actually within my grasp. So let me review the criteria. Militia level 3 requirement. Since I'm sitting comfortably at level 4, that's a check. Strength 7 threshold, with my current score at 9, that's another check. Agility sits at 6, and yep, that stat check passes. Constitution is currently at 6, so that check is good too. Barely made the cut, but a win is a win. Moving on to swordsmanship, I got level 3. Basic swordsmanship is sitting pretty at level 4. Plus, giant bear swordsmanship is clocked in at level 1. That basic proficiency clears the board, check. Any archery? Level 2, basic archery. Level 1, sitting at 8 out of 100, requirement not met. Falling short by a single requirement. And of course, it's archery. My absolute weakest, most pathetic, and painfully underleveled skill is the solitary roadblock keeping me from scoring a brand. New combat class. Those 8. Measly archery experience points from a full day of training. Feel like they're totally trolling me. Still, unlike the Knight Squire path, which demands a mile-long checklist of conditions, I'm nowhere close to checking off. Becoming a Night Watchman requires just one little thing: bump archery up to level 2. That's literally it. Nothing else stands in the way. More archery drills are lined up in the training schedule. And if I grind super hard, like ridiculously hard, I can hit archery level 2 and finally unlock the Night Watchman class and get a load of this ridiculous twist. Triggering this class didn't demand some epic grand event or a ridiculously pricey item. I literally just lit a lamp. The most mind-numbing, boring, routine chore listed anywhere in the Night Watch job description. And the system went, yep, that definitely counts as a trigger event. This system seriously has the most chaotic standards for deciding what's important enough to spark a class evolution. Get kicked by a donkey? Blacksmith apprentice. Swing a wooden sword around? Militia. Light a street lamp? Night Watchman. At this pace, if I accidentally sneeze too close to a cathedral, I'll probably unlock a secret priest class. All jokes aside though, scoring the Night Watchman class hands me core abilities. Custom built for nocturnal combat, stealth detection, and dark patrol duty. Perks that neither blacksmithing nor militia training covers. These are actual survival tools against whatever creeps and hunts in the pitch-black shadows, like a feral, twisted gnoll that snatches kids right out of their beds. With trembling hands and a hammering pulse, I hurry up and light the rest of the lamps. Archery level 2 is officially my top-tier priority now, right after Try Not to Get Devoured Tonight. A brand new combat class is sitting right there, separated by just one single missing requirement. And that exact requirement is my trash tier. Archery skill stuck at level 1, sitting at 8 out of 100, looking like a slacker student who showed up on day 1 and immediately dropped out. Under normal conditions, grinding archery from level 1 up to level 2 would easily demand another 2 to 3 months of practice. Except I don't have 2 or 3 months to waste. I've got a 7-foot-tall child-eating hyena monster out there, and it could show up tonight. I deliberate for precisely 1 second flat, dumping a skill point straight into archery right now. Hell yeah, that point was intended for blacksmith's might, or perhaps the giant bear breathing method. Yeah, both options are totally solid investments. Yet here is the real kicker with top-tier investments. They mean jack squat if you're pushing daisies. My math is pretty basic since leveling up from apprentice to actual blacksmith. Granted me 2 strength points and 2 core skills. If the trend keeps up, making the jump from militia to Night Watchman should hook me up with stat boosts and fresh core skills as well. We're talking about a massive power spike here. Way more bang for your buck than tossing a point into some old skill. So why not go for Night Squire instead? Because I'm currently lacking like 5 prerequisites for that. It would take months of grinding to qualify, whereas the Night Watchman class requires just one thing: archery. And I can sort that out right this second. Win some rabid monster could crash your front door at any given second. Hoarding resources for a rainy day is pointless. Newsflash, it's already pouring hyena beasts outside. Into basic archery goes my skill point. Basic archery, LV1. LV2 triggers an instant qualification check by the system. Militia LV3 to LV4. Checked. Strength 7 to 9 checked. Agility 6 to 8. Checked. Constitution 6 to 6 checked. Swordsmanship. LV 3 to LV 4. Checked. Archery LV 2. And now it's official. All conditions have been met. Advance from militia to night watchman. Yes/no prompt appears. Night watchman panel will replace militia panel. Yes. Time to smash that button and just do it. Evolve me already, ding. Class change successful. Advance to night watchman. Strength plus 1. Agility plus 1. Spirit plus 1. Obtain night watchman. Core skills danger sense. LV 1 passive. Dark vision passive. 3 attribute boosts instead of just 1. Or 2 strength. Agility and spirit all shoot up by 1 and 2. Both new core skills are entirely passive, implying they stay active permanently. Let me inspect what I just unlocked. Core skill dark vision. Passive effect. Your visual perception in pitch darkness or dim lighting gets massively boosted, rivaling that of nocturnal predators. Blinking away from my floating menu, whoa. The whole environment just flipped. Those shadowy street corners that were pitch black half a minute ago are suddenly fully visible to me. Crisp like twilight, not daytime bright. Yet definitely clear enough to spot every crucial detail. A rat is sneaking out from a hole in that alleyway, 30 meters off, and I can literally see its whiskers twitching. Over there in that trash pile sits a scuttling cockroach, nestled in the shadows, where I can count its very legs. Dude, I basically just unlocked biological night vision goggles, mapped straight onto my retinas, across a brutal realm where apex predators roam after dark. Feline-like nocturnal vision has finally unlocked for me, and 0 progression bars are attached to this icon, implying that skill points cannot level up my night vision. It remains either a permanent trait or scales through some alternative mechanic. Either way, its base performance is already totally cracked. Rain, you good? The squad leader suddenly questions, catching me staring blankly into the pitch black, with my jaw slightly parted. Yeah, just zoning out over some random stuff. Mid-stride, my focus shifts to inspect the second core ability. Core skill, danger sense. Level 1 passive effect active. Your perception of surrounding threats gets a minor boost, noting that. Sensitivity scales directly with spirit, where higher spirit unlocks sharper threat detection. Now this right here is the absolute jackpot. While dark vision grants visual confirmation of threats, danger sense lets me vibe check them before they even appear. It functions as pure animal instinct. That sudden goosebump crawl on your nape. That intuitive gut punch screaming something is terribly wrong, long before your logical brain processes the danger. Vulnerable prey species rely on this exact wiring, explaining why rabbits bolt into the brush instantly. Surrounded by overpowered monsters in this harsh world, stealthy assassins, and entitled nobles who casually wipe out peasant kids, possessing an early warning radar definitely spells the difference between living and dying. Best of all, it scales off spirit, landing squarely as my highest base stat at 9. Following my recent advancement boost, the system purposefully tuned this perk to synergize seamlessly with my top attribute. Let's pull up the updated comprehensive stat sheet. Name, Rain Kalen. Classes, Blacksmith. Level 15/Night, Watchman, Level 1. Constitution, 6. Strength, 10. Agility, 9. Spirit, 9. Unallocated attribute points, 1. Unallocated skill points, 1. Strength hitting 10. Hitting double digits shoves me past average thresholds, into territory far surpassing any ordinary human. While the typical local adult maxes out at 6, my 10 makes me an absolute powerhouse housed in a teen's frame. We continue patrolling the cobblestone streets for hours, our quartet weaving between pools of yellow lamplight and pitch-black alleyways. Though heavy shadows look completely crystal clear to me now, every dark corner, street, and rooftop stands fully exposed to my enhanced sight, making me feel like a radically evolved organism compared to the kid trimming livestock hooves just 3 weeks back. Hours slip away quietly with 0 emergency signal flares launched from other sectors, and no screams echoing. That feral monstrosity skipped Shining Gold Town tonight, probably still lurking deep inside the Night Song Forest, digesting its horrific recent kill. Just as our shift finally winds down, and we prepare to crash for some desperately needed shut-eye, a frantic messenger comes galloping up. All units, report to the administrative hall immediately. Sheriff Hamilton is personally taking charge. A joint operation alongside Habsburg Manor forces to hunt down the knoll, deep within Nightsong Forest Assembly. Within 30 minutes, my exhaustion completely vanished like morning mist under the rising sun. Our raiding party consisted of seasoned knights, elite night watchmen, and heavy manor guards, all marching into the wilderness to track down and eliminate the vile beast responsible for slaughtering my classmates. Did I hesitate to join? Honestly, it took me barely half a second to decide. Heavy hitters like Hamilton, Knight Lloyd, and Instructor Perez would be spearheading the squad, alongside multiple Knight class fighters. There would be dozens of heavily trained soldiers, making the overall risk totally manageable, especially since I just unlocked Dark Vision and Danger Sense. Literally 2 game-changing perks built specifically for forest warfare. My night vision was sharper than anyone else's in the entire unit, and my instincts could sniff out trouble before it even manifested. Plus, those fallen trainees and I had shared countless meals together, trained side by side, and slept in adjacent quarters. Sure, we weren't besties, but they were still my people. My fellow cadets whose lives were abruptly turned into a hyena-faced abomination's dinner. If an opening presented itself, for me to drive a blade straight through that monster skull, under safe enough conditions, count me in. Let's go hunting. There was just one minor snag with my prestigious new knight watchman status. I didn't actually own a greatsword. Giant bear swordsmanship is explicitly engineered for heavy, two-handed blades. Yet all I had on hand was the standard night watch issue. Hand and a half sword, which was decent enough. The elongated hilt allowed me to grip it with both hands, yet it felt way too lightweight to unleash the absolute maximum destruction of the bear style. It felt like owning a high-performance sports car engine, only to drop it inside a slow golf cart. Functional, but far from ideal. Down at the administrative hall, Hamilton was already waiting, fully decked out in knight plate armor, helmet, shield, and sword. The whole 9 yards. His normally severe expression looked even grimmer, peering out from behind his bucket-style visor. The man practically radiated pure, I'm going to ruin someone's day energy. Upon spotting me, he gave a sharp nod and immediately dived into the mission briefing. Habsburg Manor had already deployed advanced scouts deep into the western expanse of the Nightsong Forest, trained hunting hawks and tracking hounds, successfully pinpointed the bloodthirsty knoll, which was hiding out within a secluded valley. While the creature was undeniably cunning, that particular valley only featured 3 distinct exit points. Our forces, combined with the manor's troops, would split into 3 separate units to seal off all escape routes simultaneously. Utilizing both aerial hawks and ground greyhounds for tracking proved genius. The birds had spotted the knoll from the skies above, while the dogs picked up its scent trail along the forest floor. With such a flawless combination of aerial and ground reconnaissance, the monster literally had nowhere left to run. Following a swift pep talk, Hamilton locked down his bucket helmet and led our vanguard unit, consisting of 20-plus elite night watchmen and yours truly, on a fast-paced march toward the head over to the northern gateway of the target valley. The furthest spot from town is where our squad gets stationed, so essentially we're power jogging through the dense woods just to make it on time. Thanks to my buffed stats, this pace is an absolute breeze, though a few veteran watchmen are huffing and puffing hard. Meanwhile, down inside the valley floor, the Noel Savage Claw is kicking back with some grub. And by grub, I genuinely mean he's munching on whatever's left of the kidnapped newbie. A quick upward glance catches a few hawks circling high above. It's weird how they refuse to scatter. But whatever, he's totally unbothered. 3 separate exits lead out of this valley. Should any humans approach from one side, he could just slip away through another. If those terrifying iron-skinned knights happen to roll up, he'll instantly bolt deep into the heavy forest canopy, where ordinary mortals wouldn't dare chase him. It's a bulletproof plan, 0 flaws detected. Pure galaxy brain strategy right there. Woof woof. Barking dogs suddenly echo from the western entrance. Savage Claw perks his ears up as humans track him down as expected. The remains of his snack hit the dirt, while he charges fiercely toward the incoming greyhound, spotting a massive 7-foot hyena beast, charging right at it like a runaway locomotive. The hound nope scouts back into the thicket immediately, with its tail tucked tightly between its legs. Smart dog located it. It's finally here. Human shouts begin reverberating from the west. With a harsh snort, Savage Claw decides fine. Since the west side's blocked, he'll head south instead. He pivots sharply and sprints toward the southern path, at a terrifying breakneck speed. His mind is already drafting a smug victory speech. Dumb humans really thought they could trap me. I'll cruise back tomorrow to devour more of your folks. Woof woof. Hound are blocking the southern entrance too. All of Savage Claw's cockiness instantly vanishes. He slams the brakes so violently. His claws carve deep trenches right into the soil. They actually anticipated the southern route. Damn it, only one route remains open. The northern passage serves as his ultimate getaway. His very last trail leading back into the safety of the deep forest. Charging northward, he strains his ears for any nearby noise. No barking sounds, no human voices detected. Only an eerie, dead silence. A triumphant Noel smirk stretches across his hideous hyena muzzle. Gluelas humans. Catching Savage Claw is something you'll only do in your wildest dreams. Hee hee hee. He rockets toward the northern exit at maximum capacity. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A sudden storm of sharp arrows shrieks out from the tree lane, flying straight at him and throwing Savage Claw into a panic. Pure survival instinct kicks into his physical system. That familiar pale blue energy aura wraps tightly around his frame, shearing away all air resistance instantly, while sending his velocity skyrocketing through the roof. He dodges most of the projectiles through sheer insane speed, before diving headfirst behind a massive tree trunk for cover. Peering around the bark, his glowing green eyes pop wide open. The northern gateway is absolutely swarming with leather-clad archers, and right at their front stands a genuine iron-skin warrior. A fully armored knight, equipped with a heavy sword and shield. Yep, that's us, Hamilton's Squad 29. Nhìn tụi elite dương cung sẵn sàng, cùng với chính 20 tên đang hiên ngang chắn trước mặt, tựa như một bức tường thép bất khả xâm phạm. Nhờ đôi mắt tối ưu ban đêm, giữa làn sương mờ ảo của buổi sớm rừng thiêng, tao tóm tròn từng đường nét của con quái thú này. Cao hơn 7 foot, tay chân dài và đầy sức mạnh. Khoác lên mình mảnh giáp vá chẳng chỉ từ đồ da và xích sắt lườm lặt. Rõ ràng là lột từ xác lính đánh thuê xấu số, rồi nhồi nhét vào một cái thân hình to gấp 3 lần bình thường. Chẳng mang vũ khí gì ngoài bộ móng vuốt sắc lẹm ánh lên như dao cạo. Tên học viên bị bắt cóc đã biến mất tăm, bởi vì giờ đây chẳng còn gì để mà thấy nữa. Hàm tao siết chặt lại, khớp tay bóp bập vào chuôi kiếm đến trắng bệch. Savage Claw đang tính toán tình hình bằng cái bản năng, hoang dã đầy sợ hãi. Hướng bắc có gã người sắt cùng đám cung thủ nên không thể lao tới đó. Nó cắm cổ chuồn về phía nam rồi lại khựng lại. Khi đụng mặt thêm một hiệp sĩ nữa, kẻ đang lăm thanh đại kiếm khổng lồ trên tay, cộng thêm hàng tá binh lính mặc giáp xích kín mít. Đường phía nam đã bị khóa chặt, cơn hoảng loạn dâng trào. Nó phóng như bay về hướng cửa tây. Lại một tên hiệp sĩ khác thủ giáp cùng kiếm gươm. Vẫn là bạt ngàn binh lính, cả ba lối thoát đều bị chặn đứng. Ba hiệp sĩ cùng vô số binh đoàn. Chim ưng gầm rú trên cao, chó săn trầu trực dưới đất. Mọi ngóc ngách đều bị vây bọc bởi gươm giáo và mưa tên. Savage Claw, con quái nhân xảo quyệt đó, từng ngỡ rằng bản thân thông minh hơn toàn bộ nhân loại. Giờ đây lại sa bẫy ngay chính nơi ở náu hoàn hảo của mình. Đôi mắt xanh lục đảo điên cuồng nhìn qua lại giữa ba lối ra, rồi bỗng trở nên sắc lạnh đầy phẫn nộ tuyệt vọng. Cửa Tây và cửa Nam đều dẫn thẳng về phía lãnh thổ con người. Dù có phá được vòng vây đi chăng nữa, thì vẫn còn vô vàn cạm bẫy đang chờ sẵn. Thêm binh lính, thêm các hiệp sĩ hùng mạnh. Nhưng hướng Bắc mới dẫn ngược về đại ngàn sâu thẳm. Sân nhà của nó, vùng đất sinh tồn quen thuộc. Chỉ cần đột phá được đội hình của bọn tao, và lao về phía rừng rậm rạp, thì đám nhân loại sẽ chẳng dám dài dột đuổi theo vào bóng tối. Gã người sắt ở lối Bắc quả là một chướng ngại lớn, nhưng đó lại là mối lo nhỏ nhất. So với việc bị bao vây và kết liễu tại chỗ, quyết định đã được đưa ra. Tao dõi theo qua lớp sương sớm khi một khối mờ xám đen bắt đầu tăng tốc lao thẳng về phía vị trí của tụi tao. Luồng năng lượng xanh lam đang bùng phát bao quanh thân hình khổng lồ. Mặt đất rung chuyển dữ dội sau mỗi bước sải chân. 350 pound da thịt quái vật giận dữ, đang phóng với tốc độ siêu nhiên, lao thẳng về phía tụi tao, nhắm trực diện vào tao. Hamilton tuốt gươm ra, nó đến rồi đấy anh em mà. Tao có thể thấy nó lao tới từ khoảng cách cả dặm. Nhìn xuyên thẳng qua khu rừng mịt mờ sương khói, những thân cây gãy rôm rốp như tăm tre khi một bóng đen xám xịt, cực lớn đang càn quét điên cuồng về phía vị trí của tụi tao. Đôi mắt tinh anh ban đêm biến khung cảnh sương mù mờ ảo thành nét căng đét như HD. Con quái vật linh cầu cao 7 foot đó đang lao thẳng vào tụi tao. Đúng thế, nó đã chọn lối thoát của tụi tao làm đường tẩu thoát, mà một con thú bị dồn vào đường cùng đang chiến đấu vì mạng sống. Mới chính là thứ đáng sợ nhất trên đời này. Tao lướt xem lại bảng chỉ số của mình một lần nữa. Sức mạnh 10, nhanh nhẹn 9, tinh thần 9. Vẫn còn 9 điểm thuộc tính chưa dùng. Một điểm kỹ năng đang để ngỏ. Nếu tao tiếp tục giữ lại điểm thuộc tính chưa cộng vội, hiệu ứng hồi phục thể lực biết đâu sẽ cứu mạng tao. Khi tình hình chuyển biến xấu, nhưng với điểm kỹ năng kia, tao quất thẳng nó vào kỹ năng sức mạnh thời gian. Kitcho Blacksmith's Might Level 1. Biểu tượng bóng sáng rực lên ở Level 2. Phần mô tả lập tức chuyển từ hơi tăng sang tăng đáng kể. Chỉ số sức mạnh. Điều này đồng nghĩa mức bút đã vọt từ tầm 20% lên tầm 30% hoặc hơn trên nền tảng 10 điểm trên gốc. Con số này có thể chạm ngưỡng 13 tổng cộng khi CQ bùng lửa. Vẫn chưa đủ tuổi để solo một con quái khủng như Fedosi Noen đâu, nhưng thừa sức để khiến nó phải thốn đấy nhé. Giữa khoảng không sương lạnh, Hamilton vung mảnh thanh đại kiếm lên phía trước, để rồi hơn 20 anh em lính gác đêm, tính cả tôi nữa, đồng loạt trút xuống một cơn mưa tên bão táp. Con quái chó rừng thậm chí chẳng thèm chớp mắt, nó dùng ngay một cánh tay to tướng che kín phần mặt, rồi bắt đầu lượn lách với tốc độ nhanh đến chóng cả mặt. Nó rích rắc trái phải y như một running back đang né tránh mấy cú tá cờ trên sân bóng. Phần lớn mũi tên của chúng tôi bay đi trong vô vọng. Hai phát bắn trúng đích cũng chỉ cắm vào vỏn vẹn phần ra ngoài, bởi lớp giáp vá víu và thớ cơ cuồn cuộn của nó đã chặn lại. Với độ cứng cáp chẳng khác gì cáp thép, chỉ với một tay, nó bẻ gãy phăng cả hai thân mũi tên, gầm lên một tiếng giận dữ rồi lao thẳng về phía Hamilton. Ngược lại, Hamilton chẳng thèm lùi lấy một bước chân. Thực chất, gã điên này trông còn có vẻ cực kỳ phấn khích nữa cơ. Toàn bộ ngôn ngữ cơ thể của hắn đang gào lên rằng, cuối cùng cũng được đấm nhau ra trò rồi đây. Có vẻ như cái ghế cảnh sát trưởng ở thị trấn nhỏ này làm gã chán ấy đến tận cổ. Và hắn đang thèm khát bạo lực tột độ. Con gôn đã thu hẹp khoảng cách với tốc độ chóng mặt. Luồng gió từ cú lao của nó thổi vào chúng tôi hệt như một đòn tấn công vật lý thực thụ. Hamilton vừa thủ thế thì con gôn bất ngờ nở nụ cười nham hiểm. Bản năng của Hamilton hét toáng lên, cảnh báo nguy hiểm ngay vào khoảnh khắc cần kề nhất. Thay vì lao vào đôi công trực diện với Hamilton, Savai bẻ lái một góc 90 độ vô cùng hoàn hảo, rồi phóng ngang sang một bên, hướng thẳng đến vị trí hàng lính gác đêm đang đứng. Hóa ra đó chỉ là một cú lừa. Con gôn chưa bao giờ có ý định dây dưa với gã hiệp sĩ cả. Mục tiêu thực sự của nó là thanh niên mỏng manh đứng ở phía sau hắn. Đúng là một con quái vật danh ma khi bộ giáp sắt dày cộm, giúp Hamilton trở thành chiến binh mạnh nhất, nhưng đồng thời cũng là kẻ chậm chạp nhất. Nếu nó vượt qua được hàng phòng tuyến của đội lính gác và chuồn được vào rừng thì Hamilton xác định là bó tay.com. Bắn lưới mau. Hamilton gầm lên. Vài tấm lưới tết bằng dây gai đã được ngâm sẵn dầu lăng để tăng độ dai bền, đồng loạt phóng vút về phía con gôn từ tứ phía. Savai thậm chí chẳng thèm giảm tốc độ. Mấy chiếc vuốt của nó bỗng chốc lóe lên luồng năng lượng màu xanh nhạt. Chính là thứ sức mạnh cắt gió giúp nó di chuyển nhanh như chớp khi nãy. Và chỉ với hai nhát vung sắc lẹm xẹt. Những tấm lưới được gia cố kiên cố bỗng rách tơi tả như giấy ăn. Mặt mũi ai nấy đều tái mét không còn giọt máu. Đám lưới đó vốn được kỳ vọng là bài tẩy của chúng tôi cơ mà. Ngay sau đó, con gôn húc thẳng vào đội hình lính gác. Hai tay lính gác đêm ưu tú, vội vàng giơ kiếm lên đỡ trong tuyệt vọng, để rồi bị hất bay văng xa 5 mét lên không trung. Tôi mường tượng gió như in tiếng xương sườn của họ gãy vụn sau cú va chạm. Với trọng lượng 150 cân thịt cơ bắp siêu nhiên, lại lao đi với tốc độ của một con báo săn. Chẳng có người phàm nào chịu nổi sức công phá kinh hoàng đó. Hamilton nổi giận lôi đình khi thấy thuộc hạ của mình bị quật ngã tơi bời. Hắn giật phăng chiếc khiên gắn trên tay, rồi phóng thẳng nó vào lưng con gôn, như một chiếc đĩa ném thể thao khổng lồ bằng thép. Tấm khiên đang quay tít bắt đầu xé gió gầm rú lao đi. To avoid a devastating hit, Savage Claw whips sideways in a frantic slide, desperately trying to salvage any remaining speed before it accelerates again. Out of nowhere, Clang Hamilton's helmet comes hurtling right through the air. The absolute madman literally used his own face shield as a flying projectile because this guy is seriously unhinged. Piece by piece, he is stripping off his personal armor and repurposing it into lethal ammunition. The knoll bats the flying helmet away, but the evasion costs it even more precious speed. Another sudden volley of arrows rains down from the watchman, effectively sealing off the escape route. Savage Claw is forced to juke once more as Hamilton rapidly closes the distance. Stripped of both shield and helmet, he stands there in heavy plate armor, wielding a longsword. exhibiting a total, terrifying disregard for his own safety. A direct thrust is aimed straight at the gnoll's center mass. Savage claw snarls, sneering behind its iron skin and lack of a shield. You honestly think you can stop my claws? Before unleashing its absolute ultimate technique, the Rage Clobber Rush. Its blurred arms erupt into a violent storm of rapid slashes, with crackling blue energy wrapping around every single strike, moving at such insane speeds that ghostly afterimages linger in the air. This exact move previously slaughtered a massive 17-foot, ferocified giant lizard through pure speed and raw power, a shredding force heavily amplified by supernatural wind currents. Hamilton refuses to dodge, retreat, or even block, choosing instead to charge straight ahead, eye to eye, harnessing giant force. Both of his arms suddenly swell to almost double their original size. The metal plate armor groans loudly at the seams, with his bulging muscles pressing past the steel, looking like the Hulk crammed inside a tin can. His longsword sweeps upward in a devastating rising slash, casting a brilliant silver arc of light through the morning mist, like a fierce lightning bolt targeted at the heavens. Boom! They violently collide, matching full power against full power, and pitting ultimate technique directly against ultimate technique. Standing 30 feet away, I get knocked back a full step by the massive shockwave. Blood splatters everywhere across the two combatants, and Hamilton goes hurtling backward. For deep, savage claw marks are carved right across his chest plate, stretching from the upper right down to the lower left. Had he not been wearing knight-grade armor, those vicious claws would have gutted him like a fish. Savage Claw is thrown flying in the opposite direction, only to discover its left forearm is completely gone. It's a clean cut, cleanly severed just beneath the elbow. Hamilton's fierce rising slash cleanly chopped the entire limb off. A broken fire hydrant of blood sprays wildly from the exposed stump. That terrifying display showcases a knight's true breaking limit power, where a single swing completely claims an arm. Yet the gnoll refuses to drop dead, keeps moving, and is now running purely on desperation, aware that it is bleeding out rapidly. It feels its strength draining away with every second, as each heartbeat pumps more vital blood onto the cold forest floor. Escape is its only remaining option to avoid death. Abandoning all pretense of strategy, Savage Claw simply bulls its way straight through the Watchman line. 3 more of my unfortunate squad mates get smashed aside, like helpless bowling pins, clocking in at 350 pounds of panicking monster at a full sprint. It essentially functions as a living, organic battering ram. Bodies scatter and men scream in terror, until the gnoll finally clears a path for itself. Right there lies the gateway, leading straight into the deep forest. Only a single roadblock remains before freedom is secured. Just one tiny slender detail. A pitifully undersized obstacle right here in front of it, meaning me. Blood smears across my battered face, while a savage grin contorts into something oddly resembling pure joy. After surviving a grueling night plagued by elite soldiers, along with trapping nets, sharp arrows, and heavy shields, the absolute final barrier standing between absolute freedom and survival turns out to be the smallest human it has ever laid eyes on. One single hit against this micro-sized human, and mere seconds are all it takes to break free. It rushes head-on toward me, pouring every ounce of its remaining energy into the charge, leaving me staring upward at a towering 7-foot frame of shredded, bleeding, and utterly berserk hyena beast, barreling down my way like an out-of-control freight train, prompting me to think, all right then, let's see what stat of 10 in strength can actually pull off. That massive 7-foot, blood-soaked hyena monster is stampeding right at me, staring down the smallest, skinniest, and most bite-sized snack human blocking its path, choosing to treat me, in its mind, essentially like a speed bump equipped with legs. One single swipe is all it takes to secure freedom. My internal danger radar is screaming so violently inside my head. It's honestly about ready to file an official grievance report. Yet I quickly calculate the odds in my brain, given that Hamilton just sliced clean through its left arm, leaving it leaking pools of blood everywhere. Its physical strength has plummeted down to maybe 50 or 60% max, running purely on empty fumes and desperate adrenaline. Defeating it isn't even my actual goal here. Stalling it out for just a handful of seconds is all I need, until the rest of the squad catches up. Is this situation dangerous, though? My survival instincts are literally vibrating a massive yes. You absolute moron. Still, if this beast manages to slip away into the deep forest, it'll inevitably return tomorrow, or next week, and next time it might target my very own home, my family, and my little sister. That terrifying thought incinerates every last trace of fear left in my body. Combining the blacksmith's might with base strength 10 brings the total math to 10 plus 4 equals 14. An intense wave of heat detonates right inside my chest like a live explosive, transforming my flowing blood into liquid fire. Every single muscle fiber throughout my frame snaps, completely taut, resembling heavy steel cables stretched under maximum pressure. My arms swell visibly while my shoulders lock up hard, making it feel like a dormant tiger trapped inside my chest. Just woke up abruptly from a 10-year slumber, and it is beyond furious. 14 total points of strength. The level 2 blacksmith's might buff is frankly insane, giving a solid plus 4 bonus instead of the old measly plus 1.8. That represents an almost 40% boost overall. Never in either of my lifetimes have I ever felt this insanely overpowered. Jump slash echoes out as I scream the technique's name aloud, grip the weapon blade using a half-sword stance with both hands, and launch my entire body straight up into the air, utilizing the second form of the giant bear swordsmanship style, featuring a leaping overhead downward strike, which was originally engineered for a 36-pound greatsword, though executed here with a significantly lighter blade. While less overall weight sacrifices some raw destructive impact, it simultaneously grants nearly double the execution speed. Savage Claw catches sight of me, launching upward midair, causing its grotesque hyena features to twist in sheer, absolute disbelief, as this appetizer-sized human actually dares to launch a counterattack against it. Giống như một chú chuột dám khiêu chiến với một con sư tử hùng dũng, hay một con kiến nhỏ bé đang liều lĩnh cắn một tượng đài voi khổng lồ. Sự tức giận đang dâng trào tột độ và lấp đầy con mắt còn lại của con quái thú gôn. Nó vung lên chiếc vuốt phải sắc lẹm duy nhất còn sót lại trên cơ thể tôi tả. Một cú phản đòn vô cùng tàn độc và đầy uy lực phóng thẳng tới phía trước. Boom! Ánh sáng bạc chói lòa trực diện va chạm mạnh mẽ với cặp vuốt mang sắc xanh lạnh lẽo. Dư chấn từ pha chạm trán này lửa ấy tạo ra một làn sóng xung kích mạnh quét qua cả hai chúng tôi. Đôi mắt của Savage Claw bỗng trợn trừng kinh hãi. Nó vừa cảm nhận được một điều vô lý không thể nào tin nổi đang diễn ra. Sức mạnh ẩn chứa đằng sau. Thanh kiếm nhỏ xíu trong tay một con người này gần như tương đương với chính cú vung vuốt của nó. Tuy chưa phải là vượt trội hơn, nhưng đó chắc chắn là một kết quả vô cùng phi lý mà một sinh vật nhỏ bé thế này có thể tạo ra. Con quái vật gôn bị đánh bật ngược ra phía sau khoảng vài mét. Đôi chân của nó cày xới sâu những đường dài trên nền đất bụi bặm. Trong khi đó, tôi văng ngược về hướng ngược lại với tốc độ chóng mặt. Lực phản chấn từ việc đỡ tròn cú ra đòn toàn lực của một con quái vật cao tới 7 phút đã đẩy tôi lùi phát lại phía sau. Hơn 10 bước chân, khuôn mặt đỏ bừng lên vì dư chấn quá mạnh. Tuy nhiên, khi cúi xuống kiểm tra bản thân, tôi hoàn toàn vô sự, không hề có lấy một vết chảy xước nào cả. Tôi vừa đỡ trực diện một cú tấn công cực kỳ tàn bạo từ con gôn, và hiên ngang bước đi mà chẳng hề hấn gì. Mọi cảm xúc tiêu cực từng bủa vây lấy tôi trước trận chiến, từ nỗi sợ hãi tột cùng cho đến sự hoài nghi bản thân, hay cả mớ suy nghĩ lo âu vô nghĩa kiểu quái gì thế này. Tất cả đều bốc hơi sặc sỡ tựa như sương sớm gặp lò luyện nhiệt. Giờ đây, hai từ duy nhất đang vang vọng trong đầu tôi tựa tiếng chuông nhà thờ. Chiến đấu được, tôi hoàn toàn có thể chiến đấu với con quái này. Dù không hề dễ dàng hay an toàn chút nào, nhưng tôi vừa trực tiếp đối đầu ngang tài ngang sức với một sinh vật, từng đấu tay đôi với một hiệp sĩ chính thức, chỉ cách đây 5 phút ngắn ngủi, và tôi vẫn sống sót ngon lành. Lực lượng tinh nhuệ của đội tuần tra đêm đứng ngay sau tôi đang chết sướng vì kinh ngạc. Họ vừa tận mắt chứng kiến con quái vật này, cân tài cân sức với Hamilton, một hiệp sĩ thực thụ. Và giờ đây, cậu thiếu niên gầy gò này lại vừa đánh văng nó ngược lại. Trong mắt của họ như muốn rớt cả ra ngoài vì quá đỗi sốc. Không thể tin nổi là thằng nhóc đó vừa đỡ được đòn đó sao? Con gôn thực sự đã suy yếu đến mức này rồi ư? Hay là sức mạnh của gen thực sự quá khủng khiếp? Dù thế nào đi nữa, tôi đã mua được thứ chúng ta đang cần nhất lúc này, thời gian. Hamilton lập tức chớp lấy thời cơ ngàn vàng. Mặc cho máu tươi vẫn đang ồ ạt tuôn xối xả từ vết thương trên ngực. Gã cuồng nhân tuyệt tối này đã gồng cứng cơ bắp lại để tự cầm máu vết thương của chính mình, dẫm chân mạnh đến mức tạo ra cả một hố sâu trên mặt đất, rồi lao vun vút về phía trước với thanh trường kiếm lăm lăm trên tay, nhằm thẳng vào khoảng lưng đang hở sườn của con gôn. Sa vai Claw cảm nhận luồng gió sát khí phía sau và lập tức xoay ngoắt người lại. Vùng phát chiếc vuốt phải ra trong một nỗ lực phản đòn tuyệt vọng. Nhưng ngặt một nỗi là chiếc vuốt phải ấy lúc này đã bị một vết chém sâu hoắm hẳn lên do thanh kiếm của tôi gây ra, thậm chí phần xương bên trong gần như đã lộ rõ. Sức mạnh tấn công của nó đã sụt giảm nghiêm trọng. Pháp, thanh trường kiếm trong tay Hamilton đã đâm phập xuyên qua phần ngực trái của con quái vật. Máu tươi phun xối xả, thế nhưng chiếc vuốt đã suy yếu của con Gold vẫn kịp quét ngang qua phần thân trên của Hamilton, hất văng anh ta bay đi. Anh ngã rầm xuống đất một cú thật đau đớn, khiến toàn bộ các vết thương vừa được gồng mình cầm máu bỗng đồng loạt rách toát ra trở lại. Máu bắn tung tóe khắp nơi trong lúc con Gold lảo đảo lùi bước. Vì hiệp sĩ đã gục ngã, nhưng tôi thì tuyệt đối không. Sa vai Claw còn chưa kịp định thần lại sau vết thương vừa nhận, thì cơn gió rít lại một lần nữa phả vào phía sau gáy nó. Đó chính là tôi, đang lao vào để chơi hiệp 2 đây. Vào khoảnh khắc ngắn ngủi nó đang mải dồn sự chú ý vào Hamilton, tôi bỗng nhớ lại giọng nói của Curly văng vẳng trong đầu mình. Once the adversary is totally tripped up, skip the headshot and go straight for the weak spot, fam. That thick skull is literally the hardest bone in the body. So I totally midair twisted my attack angle, shifting my vertical downward swing into a horizontal slice, locked dead onto the one vulnerability. Every living thing shares the throat. My hand-and-a-half blade carves a sick, silver streak through the damp forest haze. Shink. The steel clips the beast, clean across both sides of the neck, leaving both carotid arteries wide open. Savage Claw desperately reaches up to grab its neck, feeling something warm and wet leaking out. Then the shock hits as it tries to roar, only for a pathetic wet gurgle to slip past. Glub glub. Glub while bloody pink foam bubbles from its lips. That wild ferocity drains straight out of its green eyes. As the life dims down, and the massive frame sways like a snapped tree in a gale. Thud, a solid 350 pounds of corrupted knoll, face plants hard into the thick grass. Its limbs twitch while blood pools across the forest floor, like a crimson lake, proving no regeneration can save you. When both neck arteries are spurting out, like snapped garden hoses. I'm standing right over the carcass, totally gasping, my chest pumping like an old bellows, with every single muscle shaking, from forcing 14 points of strength through a sword, built for a blade twice as heavy. The whole scrap, from my initial leap slash down to the final execution, took maybe 5 seconds flat. 5 seconds that honestly felt like 5 hours. The Night Watch elites are just standing around slack-jawed and frozen. They didn't even make it across before the dust settled, reduced to mere spectators of a royal showdown, involving a knight, a monster, and a kid, with a teenager actually secured the dub. Did I just kill, steal, or scavenge scraps off someone else? Was this a total fluke since Hamilton did 90% of the work? Without a doubt, Hamilton hacked off its arm. Hamilton punched his blade right through its chest. Hamilton bled heavily for this win, while I just rolled up at the very end, while the beast was already running on fumes, and dropped the closing blow. Still, you know how video game logic goes. The last hit is all that really matters. And my sword is the one dripping with no blood right now. Ha, cough. Cough, cough. Lying flat in a pool of his own blood, Hamilton spots me looming over the dead monster, and breaks out into a deep, genuine, booming laugh of pure pride, which gets instantly cut short by a brutal coughing fit, because his lungs are completely wrecked, and chuckling while suffering internal bleeding is clearly a terrible idea. Yet the joy on his face is completely authentic, his eyes shining brightly past the agony. He placed his bet on me, seeing hidden potential in that scrawny farm boy, who once tried to shank him with a stick out in the woods. And today, that risk totally paid off. Hamilton catches my leaping slash, instantly connecting the dots to my training. That specific style, pure giant bear swordsmanship, has got to be Perez's student. He assumes, wrong person, right technique. Honestly, I'm totally fine letting him stay dead wrong about it. Fewer folks knowing about my ties to Clea works out way better for my survival. Meanwhile, the Night Watch crew are staring right at me in absolute shock, like I just pulled a wild stunt out of nowhere. Except the magic trick was a broadsword and the hat was a towering hyena beast. Solid job, kid. What's your actual name, Rain? I'll make a mental note of this. So when are you officially enlisting? Jump over to my squad instead, Willin. Back off, man. He hasn't even signed up yet, and you're already poaching him? Hey, fair game. Let Rain choose his own path. These grown men who were shaking in their boots from Feral Noel just minutes ago, are now bickering over who gets me on their roster. Like kids picking playground dodgeball teammates. I flash a polite smile at all of them, while internally glowing like a hyped-up gaming streamer. Then a sudden wave of barking echoes from afar, growing louder by the second. The Habsburg Manor reinforcement units are converging on our sector through the remaining valley paths. My internal high instantly evaporates. If those Manor forces roll up here, they're going to spot me dead to rights. Knight Lloyd or Instructor Perez are bound to notice me, and catching me showcasing giant bear swordsmanship, an elite technique meant to be a strictly guarded noble secret, will trigger serious interrogation. Questions that inevitably point straight to Clea, putting both of our lives in extreme jeopardy. Cleo's warning echoes loudly. Keep a low profile. Never let the higher-ups at the manor find out about our alliance. I stride directly over to Hamilton, who's having his jagged wounds dressed, while looking like he just lost a brutal match with a wood chipper. Sir, I like to slip back to town early. Since my involvement here is, I barely make it halfway through my sentence before Hamilton's gaze suddenly brightens with total realization. He assumes I'm trying to dodge Perez's watchful eye, simply to keep my Minor's identity hidden. Firmly convinced Perez taught me this style, and he doesn't want Perez discovering that he managed to swipe the instructor's star pupil. We are both hiding secrets for completely opposite motives, yet somehow landing on the exact same conclusion. Corporate office politics really do transcend dimensions. Rain Willen, escort the injured crew, and fall back to Shining Gold Town immediately. Wait, timestamp, fix note, ensuring exact block text matches. Then Hamilton turns his attention to the whole squad, declaring, listen up, the detail that Rain delivered the finishing blow remains strictly between us for the official report. I took down the no. That's our official story, got it? The watchmen exchange glances between Hamilton and me, noticing my completely chill, unbothered vibe, showing zero pushback, about handing over the credit for slaying a mutated feral monster right on the spot. Conclude that we have some kind of secret arrangement. Yes. I are reading the room. The most essential workplace skill in any world. We slip out of the valley before the manor forces arrive. Mission accomplished, identity protected. Glory sacrificed for safety. On the walk back, I finally check my system. Notifications from the fight. Giant Bear Swordsmanship Experience. 157 Knight Watchman Job Experience 87. 157 Sword Experience from one fight. Giant Bear Swordsmanship. Jump straight from LV1 to LV2. 54 300s. A skill that would have taken weeks of training. Got leveled up in 5 seconds of life or death combat. And my Night Watchman class is already at LV1. 87 out of 100, nearly ready to level up from one battle. Life and death. Combat isn't just the fastest way to gain experience. It's in a completely different dimension from regular training. The gap between practice and real fighting is like the gap between watching cooking shows and working in a burning kitchen. The downside, just a minor detail that you might die. But maybe once I'm stronger, I could start taking bounty hunting missions from the wanted posters. High rewards plus massive combat experience. That's the ultimate two birds. One stone hustle from watching Hamilton fight. I can now roughly estimate what a formal knight's power level actually is. Hamilton went full limit break and matched the knoll, blow for blow before it lost its arm. If the knoll at full strength was around 20 strength points, then a formal knight is probably in that same range. 3 to 4 times a normal human's power. In my old life, you sang. Bolt's leg muscles were roughly twice the strength of a normal person's, and that was considered approaching the biological ceiling of human potential. 3 to 4 times, that's not just athletic. That's superhuman, that's what breathing methods do. They shatter the wall. That normal training can never breach. And I want to reach that level badly. Squad leader William is practically my new best friend. On the walk home, can't stop talking. Can't stop shoulder patting Rain. When you officially join, come to my squad first. Promise me I'll seriously consider it. Captain William. We drop off the wounded at the town medical station, and I head home the second I walk through the door. The entire household SC-RANK. Because I look like I just auditioned for a horror movie. No blood, my own sweat. Dirt and general forest grime cover me from head to toe. My night watch armor is painted red and brown. I look like a butcher who tragically got ground up by his very own meat grinder. Mom is on the verge of fainting while Dad turns completely pale. Mint's eyes instantly stretch as wide as dinner plates. Anna's trembling hands fly straight to her mouth. After a frantic, thorough inspection finally confirms that I am completely unharmed. All that heavy blood belongs entirely to the knoll. The entire household lets out a massive sigh of relief, strong enough to blow out a candle in one go. Yet Mom's anxious eyes are telling a totally different story. She was initially so hyped about my new night watch gig, with its stable government benefits and regular income. Thrilled that her boy finally has a real career, but now she's staring right at her child stepping back inside, totally drenched in foul monster blood. And the sweet romantic idea of being a night watchman has suddenly been brutally replaced by the harsh reality that her baby boy fights terrifying 7-foot hyena beasts for a living. Dad gently wraps a comforting arm around her shoulders. Trust the kid, Emma. Sure, it's sketchy, but it's also a solid opportunity. Way better than breaking your back as a mud farmer forever. Gee, thanks, Dad. Truly the motivational speech of the year. I give him a quick head pat and throw a casual wave at Anna, shoveling down my food mindlessly without even tasting it, before taking a hot bath and crashing hard into my bed. I have officially been wide awake for over 24 hours straight, pacing down dark streets and trekking through dense forests, battling a mutant monster head-on, and helping take down the most dangerous predator in the entire county, even backed by level 10 strength and enhanced stamina. My physical vessel is completely fried, so I pass out like a rock. The next morning arrives as I sluggishly flutter my eyes open, attempting to sit upright, only to groan out, ouch. Ow, ow, ow. I immediately flop back flat onto the mattress like a pancake. Every single muscle fiber inside my body is screaming in agony. My arms feel as though they've been dragged through a heavy industrial press. Both of my legs feel like solid blocks of concrete in pure pain. My aching shoulders are practically filing a formal grievance directly to my brain. It takes me roughly 3 seconds to piece together the root cause. Blacksmith's might, that level 2 active skill of mine, artificially surged my strength stat up to 14 during that brutal fight, marking a massive 40% jump above my base level. That stunt is pretty much like strapping a jet engine onto a rusty bicycle. Sure, the bicycle gets the job done in the moment, but afterward, every single bolt and spoke is frantically begging for mercy. The nasty backlash effect triggered by using blacksmith's might temporarily forces my physical muscles far past their natural biological limits. And the hefty price to pay is crippling soreness the morning after. The bright side to all this, those brutal side effects never kick in mid-battle, when it actually counts and my life is literally on the line. I get over 30 solid seconds of near superhuman power, with 0 debilitating drawbacks while the action is happening. The absolute worst part is that the following day, it genuinely feels like I got run over by a galloping horse. Not just once, but twice, while that horse was proudly wearing metal cleats, staring blankly up at the ceiling from my cozy bed. I desperately try lifting an arm to scratch my nose and completely fail. Totally worth it, though, I mutter quietly to nobody in particular. Honestly, absolutely worth it, as I lie paralyzed staring up at the popcorn ceiling, while every single muscle fiber in my body stages a full-blown labor strike. I begin mentally analyzing the brutal after-effects of blacksmith's might. The good news is that the massive overload definitely spares me during the fight. Had that happen while some foe still stood, with my muscles freezing up completely, I basically would have gift-wrapped myself as a fresh corpse, saying, "Here you go, Mr. Monster, ipuyat a tutal supermanstun." And now my arms refuse to work, so please chow down whenever you like. Talk about bad news. The next day, muscle soreness is seriously crippling. Still, it is a fascinating theory. Would higher constitution lessen, or completely wipe out those brutal aftereffects? It totally checks out. A stronger physique means better recovery and way less overload damage. I'm low-key dying to test this out, except I only have one lonely attribute point left, acting as my emergency get-out-of-jail-free heal button. I can't just blow it on hunch, crawling out of bed like an absolute zombie, who somehow managed to pull both hamstrings. I catch a sudden glimpse of myself in the copper mirror. Wait a minute, who even is that? The scrawny stick figure guy, who got punted by a donkey 3 weeks ago, is totally gone. The reflection staring back has actual shoulders, noticeable biceps, and distinct triceps. My old threads, the ones that used to hang off me, like window curtains on a rod, are suddenly skin tight, with my upper body. Muscles aggressively pressing against the fabric and creating clear outlines. I'm not massive, nor am I a bodybuilder. Yet I look like someone who has been hitting the gym hard for roughly 2 years instead of just 2 weeks. Slipping off the restrictive shirt, I start digging through Dad's old wardrobe until a larger tunic finally turns up. Once it's thrown on, all that muscle definition vanishes beneath the loose cloth. Looking too good too fast, Jack. Definitely raises awkward questions I cannot answer. Measuring my height against the wooden door frame, I realize I've grown about half a pinky finger's worth. It's not dramatic, but expanding sideways at such a crazy rate makes the vertical growth practically invisible by comparison. At this rate, I'm literally turning into a cube. Heading downstairs to peer out the window, I spot a sight that melts my battle-hardened heart into warm melted butter. Down in the backyard garden, Mint and Anna are kneeling in the dirt together to plant winter rapeseed. Mint is rocking this super cute layered dress featuring a blue apron-style skirt, held up by shoulder straps, making her look like a tiny farmer, straight out of a storybook illustration. Big sister, when can we actually harvest the rapeseed? Probably during the month of 100 flowers. Mint starts counting on her fingers, muttering, 3, 4, 5 months? That's such a long time. Then her eyes light right up as she points toward another patch. What about those chives we planted? When do those sprout? Those should be ready by the month of green grass, right after winter wraps up. Why do you ask? Because that's way sooner. Mint's eyes crinkle up into happy little crescents. Anna looks down at Mint with the softest, most gentle expression imaginable, like a true older sister, having finally discovered a kindred spirit worth defending with my life. Glancing through the frosty glass at this gentle scene, a strange shift takes place deep in my chest. Just yesterday, I barely survived a terrifying monster ready to tear me limb from limb. A towering 7-foot beast equipped with razor-sharp claws, and a raw physical might that completely overshadowed mine. The suffocating dread, the brutal pressure, and the overwhelming aura of a predator that looked at me like a snack. Had I not been fighting for something profoundly meaningful back then? Had I not had these 2 amazing girls? This genuine family? This cozy home burning inside my heart like a raging fireplace? Would I have somehow found the nerve to swing my blade? Or would I have just chickened out and stepped aside, leaving the monster free to charge right past me? Raw brawn without any clear purpose is totally useless. Empty power without a strong will is just a bunch of stats on a screen. Sure, the system can supply me with metrics, along with cool skills and plenty of experience points. Yet it can never hand me the actual reason to use them, especially when doing so might cost me my life. That kind of conviction has to come from within. And right now, watching a little 7-year-old kid carefully counting on her tiny fingers to figure out the harvest time for her little patch of veggies, while a lonely orphan girl flashes a genuine smile for the first time in months. I am 100% crystal clear on what I'm protecting. Congratulations, user, you've just unlocked a major epiphany. Your spirit attribute has experienced a moderate boost. I jump slightly, thinking, wait, a literal epiphany? The system actually hands out free bonus stats for deep philosophical thoughts. Instantly checking my status panel, I notice my spirit score just jumped from 9 straight to 11, a sweet +2 for free. 0 attribute points burned. No grinding levels required, just standing lazily by a window, having wholesome feelings about homegrown crops and little sisters. 11 points in spirit, which is now my highest stat. Once again outclassing even my monster strength level of 10. And the gameplay effect kicks in immediately. Lifting my head up, the entire surrounding world hits me differently. Not through vision alone. It feels more like an invisible sixth sense expanding outward into the air. I can distinctly pick up 3 little birds, chattering loudly on the old oak tree right by the front door. Even without looking, I can clearly sense a tiny mouse, cautiously poking its whiskers out of a hairline crack in the kitchen wall. My danger radar must be overclocking thanks to this boosted spirit stat. Higher spirit clearly equals a much sharper sensory perception, and hitting 11 full points. My overall awareness has officially crossed some hidden threshold. It's no longer just about sniffing out incoming danger. It is literally registering everything moving around me, inside an active sphere of total passive awareness. This is easily the absolute best loot from yesterday's brutal fight. Forget about the standard experience points. Forget the skill level ups, or even the intense trauma of Noelle's death. The true reward was the deep wisdom, gained from staring mortality in the face, and fully grasping why I was willing to lay down my life for others. The game system acknowledged that personal growth and paid me out handsomely. Note to self, keep having massive philosophical breakthroughs, while dramatically posing by windows whenever possible. Turns out it's an insanely efficient cheat code for leveling up stats. My loud stomach suddenly crashes my peaceful enlightenment with a thunderous rolling. Alright, fair enough. Time to head downstairs and grab some grub. Mom set me up with a seriously killer breakfast. We're talking a solid pound of plain white bread, a slice of salted cured meat, and an actual single egg. Measured against this grim world standards, that spread is basically a 5-star morning feast. Most folks around here don't even get to touch a real breakfast. Only hardcore heavy laborers pull that kind of luxury. Ever since I dropped those 2 gold coins on the family and locked in that night watch gig, Mom seriously leveled up our daily menu by 2 whole tiers. We went from barely scraping by to actually living like real human beings. I utterly destroyed the whole plate in about 90 seconds flat. Yet somehow I'm still only half full. My bottomless appetite is turning into a genuinely stressful crisis, factoring in my crazy fast physical growth, those grueling breathing technique drills, plus the intense biological demands of hitting puberty. My metabolism is burning through calories faster than a raging forest fire, torching dry autumn leaves. Looks like I need to hit up the local bakery later, just to secure some emergency food supplies. Mint suddenly bounces right into the yard from the garden, smudges of dark dirt dusting her cheeks while she beams like sunshine. Big brother, you're finally awake from your sleep. Come outside and help us plant some rapeseed crops. I gently mess up her hair with a soft sigh. Sorry. Minty, Big brother's got some important stuff to handle right now. Why don't you keep planting seeds with big sister Anna instead? Sound good? Just make sure you come back soon. She immediately hops away, looking like an energetic little bunny. Right by the doorway, Anna catches my gaze for a fleeting second, offering a shy look alongside a subtle, nervous nod. A soft flush stains her cheeks pink right before she averts her eyes. I'm just gonna go keep Mint company out there, she quietly murmurs before vanishing back into the garden foliage. I stand there watching them leave. Two fragile girls tending to vegetable patches in a cramped backyard. One tiny and delicate, the other deeply precious. My spirit stat hits 11, marking the highest peak it has ever reached. And I can trace every single point of growth right back to its source. Something catches my attention, just as Anna turns to head back toward the garden beds. She looks noticeably healthier, with natural color returning to her skin. Her previously dry and brittle hair has lost that straw-like texture. A faint, healthy shine now coats her strands that wasn't there before. Consistent meals and a warm roof over her head are steadily breathing fresh life back into this poor girl. She spots me staring and instantly drops her gaze downward. Her cheeks flare up bright pink, and she mumbles some excuse about keeping Mint company before scurrying away outside. Anna still can't hold eye contact with me for even 2 whole seconds without turning completely crimson and retreating into her shell like a timid turtle. The only person she feels totally at ease around is little Mint. Put those two together in the same frame, and Anna instantly transforms into a brightly smiling, laughing, perfectly normal teenager. Drop me into the room, however, and she morphs into a walking tomato. I honestly don't have a quick fix for this awkwardness. Time is just going to have to do the heavy lifting. Not a single message has arrived from the manor about resuming our training. They're probably still dealing with the catastrophic cleanup, following that massive 7-foot monster incident, where students got treated like lunch. On top of that, Hamilton hasn't sent for me either, which likely means he's currently laid out in some medical ward, having his shattered chest cavity stitched back together. Practice sessions for the giant bear breathing method are out of the question today, given that Clea specifically warned me to avoid pushing myself into breathing sessions while run down, and right now my muscles feel like they got tenderized. With a mallet after attempting advanced yoga, trying to practice breathing techniques, while my body files for workers' comp will be low-key dumb. So the blacksmith shop it is. First, however, I make a crucial detour to the local pie shop. 3 large meat pies are purchased, each one matching the sheer size of a 12-inch pizza from my past life. A single one of these pies should easily feed a family of 3 for a full meal. Yet I devour all 3 and barely feel a dent in my appetite. My massive food consumption is turning into a total financial crisis, because my body is growing at insane speeds and burning so many calories. through intense training routines and daily breathing practice sessions, leaving me basically functioning as a walking furnace. Those few remaining gold coins will vanish in no time if I keep on eating. Like a competitive eater at a state fair, more income is desperately needed, while white bread keeps me alive. My muscles are seriously screaming for high protein. Carbs just aren't what my body wants. It's craving meat, ideally magical super bear meat. Though regular animal flesh will have to do for now. Thinking about that, I lick my lips, as memories of the rage bear meat Clea gave me pop up. That stuff was next level incredible. If that could be my daily diet, my breathing method would probably level up at light speed. Rage bear meat costs way more than my entire house, though, so standard pork pies are the reality. Stepping into the blacksmith shop, an unfamiliar vibe hits me. The ringing of hammers, the intense heat radiating from the forge, and the sharp scent of hot metal all feel oddly comforting. Like coming home and realizing this is where I actually belong. It has to be the blacksmith class altering my perceptions, proving the system didn't just hand me basic skills, but also embedded a genuine affinity for the craft deep inside. Rain, come on in. Boris greets me right off the bat. Is it true what they're saying about the Noel attack at the manor? Several trainees died, yes. Mr. Boris, I reply with a grim nod. Terrible business. Haven't seen anything like that in years. These are dangerous times. Boris mutters, shaking his head. Instantly, the other apprentices swarm around me with questions. How tall was it? Did you actually get a look at it? Is it true it stood over 2 meters? Providing them with a summarized version. I carefully leave out my personal involvement in landing the kill, and eventually the hype settles down enough for actual work to finally get underway. Today I'm stepping up as the primary forger, with Boris taking the role of my assistant instead of the other way around. Grasping the blacksmith's heavy hammer, it immediately feels like an extension of my arm. Every single swing flows with pure instinct, and all striking angles feel completely natural, all thanks to the passive hammer mastery skill turning me into a machine. There's no need to overthink where to strike anymore. My hands simply know, even if the experience gains crawl along slowly. Horseshoe forging experience +2, blacksmith job experience +1, tallying up to 1 point for every half hour. Once I hit that full blacksmith tier, man, all that horseshoe crafting that used to shower me with experience just totally dried up. It genuinely feels like grinding away in a video game by wiping out mobs way below your level. Meaningful rewards are basically non-existent because the content is too easy. Sweating through the whole morning gets me dozens of finished horseshoes, leaving a tiny mountain of gleaming crescent metal on the workbench. Normally, Boris would need until mid-afternoon to push out this many, but I crushed it 2 hours early. Superior technique isn't even why this happened, since Boris is low-key still the better craftsman. My stats are doing the heavy lifting, especially with strength 10, making me swing that massive hammer like it weighs nothing, while barely burning any stamina. With Spirit 11 backing me up, I can actually feel those microscopic shifts inside the heated metal with every single strike, knowing precisely when to drop the hammer and when the grain structure is totally locked in. Raw skill isn't replaced by stats, though they definitely buff your efficiency to a crazy degree. Catching a burning gaze, I snap my head upward, only to find Boris staring right at me with the intense energy of a guy who just struck pure gold in his own backyard. How about becoming my official assistant? And yes, it's a paid position. Blinking in surprise, I realize this is a massive deal. Out of everyone here, Boris's shop only keeps one single paid assistant, leaving the rest of the crew as fee-paying apprentices. Getting offered an assistant gig right now basically means Boris thinks I've reached actual blacksmith tier competence in at least one category. All the other apprentices whip their heads toward us in unison, and I can literally feel their anxiety radiating off them like raw heat from the forge. Taking this job would mean stealing a golden spot they've been daydreaming about for months. Saying yes is obviously off the table for me, since blacksmithing is just a leveling tool rather than a career path. Chasing XP is my main objective here, not stacking a salary. Even so, horseshoe forging isn't giving me any decent progress anymore. At this point, I need to pick up something totally new and harder that actually yields real experience points. At the master tier. Right now, Boris happens to be in an exceptionally generous mood, having just watched me outperform his entire workshop single-handedly. His wallet-shaped heart is about as open as it's ever going to get. Time to start negotiating with you, Mr. Boris. I am deeply honored. but a permanent position just isn't something I can commit to right now. However, mastering a few other forging techniques sounds amazing to me. What else are you willing to teach, and what's the price tag? Boris's eyes flicker as I watch a classic internal battle play out inside him, between guarding his precious trade secrets and cashing in on them. It's the ultimate cheapskate's dilemma, pure greed versus pure greed. So let's see which side comes out on top. Before anyone jumps in to ask, why don't just learn weapon forging instead? Trust me, I'd love to. The catch is that Boris is strictly a household goods blacksmith. Pots, pans, horseshoes, and kitchen knives are completely his lane. Forging a greatsword is way out of his depth, kind of like a pastry chef trying to grill a premium steak. Sure, he actually crafted that hand-and-a-half sword one time, but according to his apprentice Drullies, that was a secret family technique, locked away exclusively for his biological son, who, ironically enough, vanished straight to the county capital and is completely ghosting us. Classic, and even if Boris could teach me blade forging, I seriously need a massive greatsword for giant bear swordsmanship. A hand-and-a-half blade is totally like bringing a butter knife to a chainsaw fight. Mr. Boris, I totally appreciate the assistant offer, but I'd rather take a shot at the manner exam first. Dismissing it with a wave, Boris remarks, Sure. Young people should definitely explore their options. On second thought, though, how much would it set me back to learn material selection, quenching, and polishing? All the apprentices surrounding us collectively gasp so intensely. They practically create a vacuum in the room. This kid just turned down a paid gig, just to learn 3 extra techniques? Talk about major audacity and appetite. That'll be 5 gold coins flat. Holding up 5 fingers, Boris states his price. 5 gold coins for a guy whose middle name is literally. Why pay full price? This is pure highway robbery. Yet right after, he dangles the ultimate bait. Of course, if you signed on as my assistant, I'd teach you all 3 completely for free, spread out over the course of a year. Every single apprentice in the shop whips their head around to stare at me, with pure, unadulterated jealousy radiating straight from their eyes. The legendary Scrooge of Shining Gold Town is actually offering a free education to a teenager who already turned him down once. I almost feel bad, almost. Thanks a lot, Mr. Boris. But I'll have to pass since 5 gold coins is a bit steep. Let me check with my parents first. Can I learn them separately? Sure. Material selection is 1 gold, quenching is 2, and polishing is 2. I'll be back this afternoon. Heading home, I quickly eat lunch, though I'm still starving afterward. My stomach is genuinely turning into a financial emergency, so I grab 1 gold coin and sprint right back. Let's kick things off with material selection. Mr. Boris, here is the gold coin. He guides me toward a back room, where I discover a massive warehouse packed with raw ore, alongside neatly stacked ingots of iron, copper, and tin, the true raw materials of civilization, pile high. Like a dragon's slightly less glamorous treasure hoard. This specimen here is hematite, or red iron ore. Just look at that dark red and black coloring, while the fracture pattern reveals distinct striped or shell-like breaks. Picking up a head-sized chunk, Boris launches straight into his lecture. This other one is tin, or characterized by a dark brown surface, a granular texture featuring a metallic luster, and internal cavities, while this right here is chalcopyrite, a yellow copper ore. With my spirit maxed out at 11, my observation and memory skills are currently operating on an entirely different plane compared to normal humans. Every single detail Boris drops, color gradations, surface textures, weight discrepancies, and crystal structures, gets instantly filed away in my brain like a high-speed database. I am absorbing all this data way faster than he can even spit it out. Noticing I'm neither throwing questions at him, nor wearing a confused look, Boris simply powers through, since most students usually need him to repeat everything. After checking everything 3 or 4 times, I completely lock it down on my first try. Suddenly, a flurry of system notifications starts popping off. Or identification-related stats have leveled up. Your comprehension is totally buffed. A fresh skill or identification perk has been unlocked. Or identification experience goes up. Staying locked in on or identification for 30 minutes straight. Blacksmith job experience level 1. It grants the exact same rate as horseshoe forging. You get 1 job point every half hour. It is definitely not blazing fast. Yet this brand new skill is something I can grind on the side. Plus, it is low-key super useful knowledge for my future moves. Right after that, Boris gets a mischievous gleam in his eye. A special storage drawer is pulled open by him, Those common ores were just the warm-up, rain. Extremely rare minerals are also hidden in this shop. They are way harder to identify and infinitely more valuable. The envy a chunk of, or tiny star-like specks, are scattered across it. They glitter brightly right across its surface. This is star iron, which is also called meteorite ore. It originates straight from fallen stars. When space meteorites crash down into the Earth, this unique mineral is sometimes formed by the impact. It is insanely rare, and the absolute second this rock touches my palm, I can instantly tell it hits different than the rest. It is the exact same size as the other samples. It weighs at least twice as much. The density is honestly mind-blowing. Holding it feels like clutching a piece of a collapsed neutron star. This is the ultimate stuff used to craft legendary weapons. I have survived enough fantasy novels across 2 lifetimes to know sky metal is always the premium crafting material. Pretty impressive, right? Boris grins broadly at my stunned expression. I only possess this single fist-sized piece, and its price is dozens of times higher than regular iron ore. My brain starts doing rapid-fire calculations. If a standard iron ingot only costs a few measly copper coins, and meteorite ore is valued at dozens of times more than that, we're talking about major gold-tier prices. Just for a single chunk of space rock. A brand new hustle suddenly flashes across my mind. What if I learn how to sniff out rare ores that other folks completely sleep on? What if my enhanced spirit, combined with my ore identification skill, allowed me to spot high-value minerals that ordinary blacksmiths literally walk right past? That is not just a basic crafting skill anymore. That is a straight-up money printer. But for right now, I keep my poker face locked down and push through the lesson. One skill at a time. One gold coin at a time, because the grind never stops. Star iron is dozens of times pricier than ordinary iron ore. Boris nods approvingly like a proud professor, while dropping massive knowledge bombs. Exceptional hardness and extreme flexibility define star iron, making it the absolute dream combination for any bladed weapon, including short swords, long swords, and great swords. All of them become significantly better when forged with star iron. Naturally, crafting a weapon entirely out of pure star iron would cost way more than most nobles are willing to drop. The standard meta is to mix it together with regular iron, giving you the best of both worlds at a fraction of the price. How do you identify it? First off, check the weight. A chunk of the same size weighs roughly double compared to standard iron ore. Second, you examine the fracture surface. Caught in the glow, those tiny metallic granules glimmer softly, resembling little stars, which explains why they call it star iron. Not bad, Boris. Coming from a small-town cheapskate, who charges 12 silver for horseshoe lessons, the man genuinely knows his stuff. An impressive depth of knowledge is shown by him regarding star iron identification and forging properties. And right after that comes a system notification that lights up my brain like a Christmas tree. Or identification experience plus 17. You learn to identify a special mineral. Meteorite or blacksmith job experience. 5 plus 17 plus 5. Regular or identification only grants me 1 every 30 minutes. Learning a single special or just handed me 5. Job experience points instantly. A total shortcut to leveling my blacksmith class is unlocked by studying rare minerals. Should Boris happen to possess a collection of special ores, power leveling my profession would be a breeze, simply by gazing at fancy rocks. Fixated on Boris, I stare with the intensity of a starving guy. Eyeballing a buffet, Mr. Boris. You've only shown me 1 special mineral so far. What about all the others? Boris's face turns slightly red. Kid, look around you. This is a humble small-town blacksmith shop, not the Imperial Museum. That piece of star iron is my one and only treasure. My excitement crashes and burns like a meteor that somehow contains 0 actual or inside. 1 special mineral is the absolute extent of his stash. That brilliant shortcut I just figured out. It's a dead end after precisely 1 stop. Disappointment written all over my face is quickly spotted by Boris, who clears his throat. Ahem. If you're looking to study more special minerals, a trip out to a large blacksmith operation is required, either in the county capital or... He pauses meaningfully. The castle blacksmith shop located inside Habsburg Manor. A stockpile of special ores is definitely kept there. Why on earth would the manor have special ores? Boris laughs as if I just asked why water is wet. Weapons and armor for the manor's guards and knights are forged by the castle blacksmith. Rare crafting materials are obviously kept on hand, right? Those greedy nobles hoard all the good stuff, obviously. Special minerals capable of enhancing knight equipment are being sat on by the aristocracy in massive mountains. The manor's own blacksmith shop is consequently my best option. The county capital is way too far away, taking a full day's round trip without any horse, whereas the manor blacksmith is sitting right there. So once training starts back up, I can ask Instructor Barl to teach me special or identification, even if paying him a fee turns out to be necessary. Massive blacksmith experience gains would follow. Stepping out of Boris's shop that evening finds my blacksmith class resting at LV1 231 hundredths, or identification training, proved slightly speedier than basic horseshoe forging, entirely thanks to that single special mineral. Without extra rare ores available to study, I'm thrown right back into the slow grind. Stopping by the pie shop lets me snag another massive meat pie on the walk home. Mom immediately spots the bakery wrapping during dinner, and straight into a classic lecture she dives. Next time you want pie, bring your own meat and dough to the bakery. They'll bake it for you, and you save at least 3 pennies. Across the dining table, our eyes meet, and I flash Min a sneaky wink. Sudden giggles erupt from her as crumbs scatter everywhere. Gazing downward at her plate, Anna gnaws a small slice, desperately fighting a grin while Mom sweeps her gaze across us all, before landing on me and shaking her head in total defeat. Her kid is officially immune to lectures now. As night falls and the muscle ache finally dies down, I decide to test out the giant bear breathing routine, right inside my room without any black tongue oil. The contrast is painfully obvious. Not physically, well okay, physically too, but strictly in terms of actual gains. Lacking that oil to boost my mind-muscle connection. Doing this drill feels like trying to bang out piano keys while wearing thick winter mittens. I'm sweating bullets here with next to zero progress. Breathing method session, 1 single point earned. With black tongue oil, I usually stack 5 points in that span. We're talking about a massive 5x efficiency gap. That oil isn't just a cool bonus. It's low-key mandatory if you want any serious leveling up. Giant bear breathing method. LV2 37. 300ths. Showering early tonight is a must, since my body hasn't fully bounced back yet. Pushing too hard right now just invites a bad injury. Time to score some more black tongue oil. Shady has got my stash secured at the manor. Heading over to Habsburg Manor the next morning to track down Shadia. I instantly notice the security has skyrocketed big time. All over the place. Heavy guards and double patrols are everywhere. The entire compound is totally locked down. Tighter than a dragon hoarding a mountain of gold. Totally makes sense though. A warped monster literally ate students right inside the walls. So the manor's prestige is definitely on the chopping block. Tracking Shadia down inside the grand castle halls. She's rocking her signature dark, made uniform as usual. Sporting her classic, I have never felt joy, resting expression. Though a tiny micro smile slips out when our eyes lock, before she instantly snaps back to her trademark poker face. You're here for the black tongue oil, right? Spot on. Headmate Shadia. Figured you'd be showing up sooner or later. Our regular training hasn't been rescheduled yet. Lady Lloyd is honestly stressing out, thinking more gnolls might be prowling nearby, guiding me forward through cold stone hallways, making lefts and rights around winding corners. We venture deeper into the estate than I've ever gone. We finally reach her private living quarters on the ground floor, and right as her hand turns the doorknob, a distinct sound catches my ear, echoing from down the opposite corridor. Clang, clang, clang. That unmistakable metallic ring of a heavy hammer striking hot iron. Someone is clearly crafting something close by. That audio cue is as deeply etched in my mind as my own heartbeat now, and it's coming straight from the heart of the castle. The secret castle forge, the very one Boris was telling me about. The one stacked with a massive cache of rare minerals. This golden opportunity to max out my blacksmith class is literally just down the hallway. No cap. My eyes light up as I press Shadia, asking, is there actually a forge right down the hall? Pausing mid-doorway, Shadia gives a simple nod of confirmation. Asking why I care, am I even interested? Inside, I'm totally geeking out. I'll try to play it super chill. Just a bit. Is master barrel crafting in there too. Beryl takes care of all the everyday equipment forging, yep, alongside Basil, who's the resident weapon expert, and Snell acts as the supervisor of the shop, having studied directly under Master Valentin. Over in the county capital, he specializes exclusively in high-end armor. A master's disciple, a weapons specialist, and an armor pro, 3 elite smiths with totally different skill sets, operating under one single roof. While handling a noble house's massive stash of rare materials, my inner gamer is doing absolute backflips. So is Snell an armor smith? I chime in, zeroing right in on the absolute best keyword. Not quite yet, though he's totally expected to ace the blacksmith guild exam before the year wraps up, almost there, having a soon-to-be certified armorsmith with open access to rare ores inside a castle that I've already got clearance for. Feels like stumbling onto a secret hidden dungeon, jam-packed with sweet XP, sitting right next to your starting spawn point. Hey Shadia, do you happen to know Snell personally? Could you maybe hook us up with an intro? The second I drop Snell's name, something wild happens. Shadia's cheeks flash a super faint shade of pink, right before she catches herself. This cold, stone-faced maid, who's professional to her core, just totally blushed at the mention of some guy. Definitely filing that little Easter egg away for later. Instantly, though, her vibe snaps into pure annoyance, fixing me with a death glare that could freeze a volcano. A human's energy is seriously limited, you know? I expect you to lock in on your night breathing training, instead of spreading yourself thin over random hobbies, and totally wasting Lady Clea's investment in you. Ouch, she's not even wrong though. Viewed through a normal person's lens, any serious night candidate pours pretty much all their time into rigorous breathing routines. Allons-y, encore combattre. Messing around with blacksmithing just looks like getting distracted by shiny side quests when finals are right around the corner. What Shadia doesn't realize, however, is that my little hobby actually feeds my combat stats directly, grinding my blacksmith class dishes out attribute points and core passives that turn me into a way better fighter. These two skill paths aren't even competing. They're basically multiplying each other's gains. Explaining this without leaking my system menu is impossible. So I just stand there looking like a scolded puppy, while my grand plans for the castle forge quietly die right on the spot. Rip. Here is your black tongue oil, she sighs, handing me a compact black vial before shutting down the chat. Dreams of identifying rare minerals will have to be put on ice. Back in my room, I pop open the bottle, letting that familiar, musky medicinal scent flood the space. As I massage the warm amber liquid over my aching knees and shoulders, diving headfirst into the breathing method with oil feels like turning on high-definition training mode. Every single muscle fiber is crystal clear. Every breath pattern stands out, and every tiny wave of internal energy pulses right through me. 30 minutes tick by before the system pings. Congrats, your Constitution stat just leveled up, jumping straight from 6 to 7 on the board. Only Constitution gets the boost this time around, leaving out any strength gains like before, which totally tracks since my strength is already maxed at 10, totally blowing past everything else. My Constitution was dragging behind at a weak 6. So the breathing technique naturally locked onto the lowest physical stat on the list. It acts like water rushing down to the lowest ground, letting the body fix whatever's begging for attention. 3 full days drift by, with zero word from the manor about getting back to training. Knight Lloyd is obviously stressing out over other gnolls potentially hiding nearby. Fair enough, where you spot one ferocified monster prowling around. A whole squad is usually lurking close behind. Not that I'm complaining. These past 3 days have been super productive. Daytime is strictly for blacksmith grinding, hammering out horseshoes and sorting through raw ores, while nighttime belongs to the giant bear breathing method paired with black tongue oil. The status report reads blacksmith LV1 at 52 over 100 and breathing method LV2, hitting 51 out of 300. I'm low-key dying to practice giant bear swordsmanship too, except I lack a great sword and don't have any proper training space around the house, flailing a massive 7-foot blade out in the backyard, while Mint and Anna are busy planting carrots. Would definitely raise some eyebrows. Tuesday morning kicks off with a guard and chain mail rapping on my door. Rain, Sheriff Hamilton is calling for you. He's waiting over at the administrative hall. I hustle over right away. Checking in on Hamilton had been my mission for 2 days straight, only to get hit each time with the excuse that he'd traveled off to the county capital for medical care. Pushing the door open after a quick knock, I find Hamilton planted at his desk, dressed in his signature hunting gear, though his face looks ghostly pale and carries a strong medicinal stench. The exact same herbal smell drifting from the downtown apothecary. Have a seat, Rain's son. How's your recovery going? You should have been totally patched up by now. Except that Noel's wicked claws packed a strange kind of dark energy, turning these wounds into an absolute nightmare to treat. I'll need about another week. He waves away any further talk about his health and dives right into business. An urgent situation is the reason I brought you here today. Do you remember those nasty fin fishmen I mentioned before? The ones spotted hanging out upstream near Shimmer Lake. Oh man. Yesterday my scouts brought word that they've pushed their territory outward, creeping within a few miles of the water body. Failing to beat them back right now, before they hit the lake and start laying eggs, means we're staring down a full-scale fishman infestation, right inside our main drinking supply. So let me get this straight. The town sheriff, who's currently laid up with injuries, running on a low-key skeleton crew right now, and crying for my backup to deal with a fishing monster outbreak. That's totally trashing the whole town's water supply. Just last week I was busy trimming donkey hooves, you guys. Now I'm getting deployed to throw hands with straight-up fishmen. This has got to be either the most insane career glow-up in history, or the fastest ticket to getting straight-up eaten by something smelling like low tide at the pier. Honestly, it's probably both. I need you to pull together a squad of night watchmen, kid, and go wipe out these stinking, slimy fish freaks. Or, at the very least, push their creepy webbed feet back upstream. Once I'm patched up and healed by next week, I'm going to personally roll in and lead a total extermination. Hamilton's expression is dead set and completely stone cold. Shimmer Lake is literally the town's only lifeline for water. If these fishmen manage to contaminate the whole reservoir, Hamilton takes the absolute fall as the head honcho. And let's be real, a local sheriff who lets his people's drinking water turn into mutant fish soup definitely doesn't keep his badge for long. I chew it over in my head. Going toe-to-toe with fishmen is actually low-key not bad at all. My night watchman class is currently sitting at 87 out of 113 points, stashed from leveling up. So a legitimate combat run could totally push me over the edge. And hey, according to Hamilton himself, these fishmen are essentially just the basic tutorial mobs of this whole server. But I'm not trying to walk into a trap blind, sir. What's their actual combat power looking like? Relax, intel reports say it's just a tiny, low-level tribe out there. Most of these fishmen are individually way weaker than standard militia grunts. The real headache is their sheer numbers and how ridiculously fast they spawn. They're basically total weeds. You mow down a bunch, and they just pop right back up. Plus, the second they feel like they're catching an L, they immediately dive underwater to ghost us. So here's the ultimate game plan. Bait them away from the riverbank first, got it? Then crush them completely when they've got nowhere to retreat. Fishmen that are weaker than standard militia grunts, I'm packing a night watchman build with a strength stat of 10, plus an entire squad rolling right behind me. This is literally a paid XP farming session, with some extra community service perks thrown in. I'm down, but I'm gonna need an actual heavy-duty piece of hardware. Like a massive greatsword. Can I borrow one from stock? Haha, a greatsword? You serious? Walk with me, kid, as Hamilton gives me this look that's half amused and half knowing full well I have zero clue, until we step right into a cramped, dusty armory tucked behind his desk. Blades are stacked everywhere, short swords, long swords, sleek hand-and-a-half weapons, and resting all by itself on an isolated rack, looking like it's been waiting ages for a main character. Sat one absolute unit of a greatsword. Hamilton lifts it down from the rack and drops it into my arms. The very second my fingers lock around the leather grip, I instantly feel that this piece is legendary, weighing in at roughly 40 pounds, with a cold steel blade stretching just past 4.5 feet, featuring a clean blood groove cutting straight down the middle, totally tailored for heavy-duty, giant bear swordsmanship, complete with a solid cross-shaped guard for defense, and nicely balanced out by a weighted pommel ball at the base, finely engraved with the official Night Watch insignia. A torch and sword are held aloft by a carved figure, strapped with a hunting bow across its back, while the blade gleams under the dim light as intricate forging patterns ripple along the edge, showcasing the undeniable signature of top-tier tempered steel. This definitely isn't some low-key, mass-produced grunt weapon. Instead, it's a premium, refined steel greatsword, the kind of absolute unit that runs for over 15 gold coins, while regular iron blades only cost a few loose silver, and can be hammered out by pretty much any local town smith. Scoring an actual quality gray blade demands top-tier materials, expert-level craftsmanship, and a legendary master blacksmith. This masterpiece sits in a completely different galaxy entirely, compared to the basic training swords I've been swinging around. Hamilton watches me inspect every detail. With a smirk he's barely even trying to hide. It's been quite a hot minute since the Night Watch had a proper great sword user in the ranks. And honestly, this piece came straight from my own stash. That's when it finally clicks why he gave me that shady look earlier. He totally caught me utilizing giant bear swordsmanship against that knoll. Since he already knew I was running two-handed heavy techniques. He had this heavy hitter ready and waiting. Long before I even pushed open his office door. The guy literally planned this whole conversation out step by step. From a fisherman mission to throwing out the weapon offer. It was all a masterclass in getting me totally hooked and invested. What a mastermind boss. Low-key terrifying yet brilliant. 10 out of 10 would definitely work for him again. Like it? He drops the question casually. Like it? Are you kidding? This thing is unreal. At this rate, I'd literally marry this sword and build it a custom house. Hell, I'm ready to write romantic poetry about it. Tell you what, clear out those fishmen and the great sword is yours. Consider it a freebie gift on top of everything. Plus a sweet bonus reward for helping take down that feral knoll. No charge. He's genuinely handing me a refined steel greatsword completely free. Out of pure politeness, I try to act hesitant and refuse. Except my hands are staging a total mutiny. And physically refusing to let go of the grip. My fingers have completely made up their own minds. And they've officially chosen permanent sword ownership. Thank you so much, sir. Pacing back to his wooden desk, Hamilton slides out 2 documents. Right off the bat, we've got your official Night Watch enrollment papers. Just sign on the dotted line and boom, you're done. I am now officially an active member of the Imperial Night Watch. Government employee Rain Kalen reporting for duty, baby. Next up comes document number 2. The official merit record detailing our crusade against the feral knoll. It breaks down every single action and specific role, highlighting my personal contribution, already heavily co-signed by the big boss and 2 squad leaders. This goes straight into my permanent file as valuable merit points, which will also heavily boost future promotions. Scanning through every line with hyperfocus, I notice how shockingly thorough the battle breakdown is, capturing my exact individual contributions, alongside the precise timeline of chaos, verified by the signatures of 3 senior military officers. With a huge grin, I quickly sign my name at the bottom. Once this paperwork fully processes through the system, you'll officially rank up as a full member of the Imperial Night Watch forces. Congratulations! The absolute honor is mine, Sir Hamilton. Right then, a brilliant thought crosses my mind. Merit points equal exchangeable rewards, right? If this whole system even remotely resembles military commendations, can merit points be used for stuff besides moving up? Like, say, getting my hands on ferocified beast meat for my grind, sir? With a sudden twitch of his brows, a broad grin spreads across Hamilton's face. Totally. A wide variety of useful gear can actually be copped using merit points. Ferocified beast meat, like that rage bear meat Clea hooked me up with, is that super nutritious magical protein. That low-key turbocharged my breathing method workouts, assuming I can grind for it through combat missions instead of having to simp for some noble patronage. Right as I think that, Hamilton raises a single warning finger. Honestly, I wouldn't advise dropping your first stash of merit points on beast meat. He pauses, flashing a cryptic, low-key mysterious smile. Wait, if beast meat is off the table, then what could possibly be more clutch for my training routine than magical super protein? That knowing smirk plastered across Hamilton's face makes it obvious. He's got a specific play in mind. Some hidden gem he's betting I'll vibe with even more. My curiosity is totally going crazy right now. Yet Hamilton is clearly low-key getting a kick out of teasing me with info, dangling it like a laser pointer while watching me swipe at it. This guy serves as my boss, my mentor, my personal arms dealer, and my psychological tormentor, all wrapped into one neat package. And I literally just locked myself into an endless work contract with him. What kind of mess did I just walk into?